Hello! Ha! All right, we're live. I forgot a few things. I said I'd be right on time and half prepared, as promised. So we got a lot going on today. A lot of stuff. Hang on a second. Take it all in, baby. All right, we got to get the overhead cam rolling. All right, hang on. I'm fired up. I'm fired up for some live action. We're going to have a special introductory guest, and it's an artist from Alpha. Let me see. Okay. I'm going to share that bad boy. Look at this. No, that's not working. Hey-o! Dan, let's go! All right. Why did this mess up? Stop that camera. Present. All right, we're going to need the overhead cam today because we're going to have it. Here we go. We're going to have an alpha break. You see that? We're going to break into this madness. So there's a few things going on. We're going to have a special guest at the start. In the future, we're going to get into this Brahm box as we explore the history of sorcery and its influences. The Brahm, right? So we got the Brahm. Maybe we'll do a giveaway with that later. Remind me on that. We're going to get into all of this stuff. All right? A lot of things happening. We might even have a toast. A celebratory toast. Maybe we'll see some of these in Vegas. I don't know. Maybe I'll just toss them across my desk. Maybe. Get these on Amazon. They're shot glass size. Good times, baby. Vegas is going to be wild. Sorcery Con, November 1st through 3rd. And by the way, if you guys can post on the social medias that we are live now, I did not have time to do that. And I forgot to. So typically we get a slow roll and then we'll have West Coasters rolling in. It's still pretty early. I'm on the East Coast here. It is 11 a.m. Right on time every time. And the West Coasters start waking up, start rolling in. The Europeans usually jump in. So we're going to have a guest artist to open though. So I'm hoping some people will be able to see that. We're going to see some of the artwork from Arthurian Legends. Original paintings. So that's really exciting. And then a big announcement here. So he's queuing up, getting ready. All right, here we go. We got Johnny G, we got Dan, we got Mike Pelly. Ace Tool. What are you talking about, Dan? Is my microphone working? You guys hearing everything okay? All right. All right, I'm gonna pop in our guest in a moment. So let me take down the overhead cam. Watch how I work here, guys. You see this? I just got to do one of these. Remove that one. Caio, how you doing, man?
Hello, Mike. Hello, everyone.
So I teased the announcement. I don't know if it was it would have been better to say who was coming, but I think it's fun to have an element of surprise. So I wanted to have you on because you had these amazing reveals for the play. I'll show it later, but I ended up getting one of the draft kits. One of the guys that went to GenCon was able to get one of those and send it to me, and your Spellslinger foil promo card, which looks awesome.
Yeah, I wanted so bad to see those cards in person. I hope one day to be able to get the draft kit for myself.
Yep, they're supposed to be coming out pretty soon, I think, is what Simon said. I thought he said around the first or second week of August, so we're waiting to hear. But I wanted to ask you, and wow, that Valley card, amazing. Beautiful artwork. Is that the largest size painting you've done so far for Sorcery? I'm noticing it's a little bigger than the others.
Yeah, it's a little bit more bigger canvas because of the amount of details. So I couldn't put that much detail on A4 sized canvas. Actually, it is right behind me.
Yeah. So I guess you had a plan for it to be more detailed. Did Eric ask you to make it more detailed specifically, or was that just your idea?
Actually, both things. Yes. He said that it would have a lot of details, and I thought better to make a bigger canvas.
Yeah, it looks great. So when the with the play kit, you had the 4 Atlas Sight cards and the Spellslinger Avatar. When Eric approached you for that idea, did you know that those paintings would be used for that, or did he did he just treat it like a normal commission?
No, he just asked normally. I had no idea that the Spirit Slinger, for example, would be an avatar. I thought it would be a normal creature.
Oh, interesting. So when he asked for that avatar, did he ask for a hooded figure? Was that the concept of it?
Yes. Yeah. He just gave me the concept, and I made some sketches, and I sent to him, and well, we created together. To be honest.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's interesting because like it seems that after, of course, there was the 4 elemental avatars from Severin, and there was a wide range of avatar style art for Alpha. But then in Beta, he went to the 4 hooded avatars for the elemental avatars. And so far, we see your Spellslinger is like a hooded character, and Severin's Witch is also hooded. So we're all wondering, like, are they all going to be hooded avatars now? Because the idea is, I think, the player takes the persona of the avatar, and then you're playing as that person. And it's kind of cool. Like in yours, I guess, do you have the Spellslinger behind you somewhere?
Yes, I do have. He's right here.
Oh, there it is. Nice. Yep. So it's a hooded, and his face is mostly masked, right? So you can like kind of envision yourself as that person. Wow, that's beautiful too. Like on the mountaintop and then the castle in the background.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
It was requested by Eric to be a hooded character. The only different thing I put here, it was he had some kind of bird. But
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the only special characters behind the hood.
Yeah, and then he's holding like a scroll of spells. Is that the idea? Because he's a spell slinger.
Yes,
that's cool.
Yes, he got 4 scrolls in his belt, because I believe it is because of his effect of starting with 4 spells in hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a great idea. And like when you see the foil, I guess you probably haven't seen the foil yet, but those spells have like a foiling to them, so they kind of shine a little bit, and then all the background kind of outlining the avatar figure and the sky. Wow, it's beautifully done. And on the back, it has the full art, which is awesome.
Thanks, man.
So
yeah. I remember Eric told me to have him holding exactly 4 scrolls.
Okay, cool. That's great insight.
And actually, the painting has a small Easter egg, but I won't tell what it is. I will let people to search for it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. That's always now you got me looking too. I'm looking at the card on my desk, easily distracted. But what's awesome too is like you and I have talked a lot about how in Alpha you did all landscape art, and you're capable, except for the dromedary, of course. That's just a legendary figure. A lot of people love that painting. And actually, a funny story. I just coincidentally was talking with Eric recently, and he showed me a picture, like, because I'm doing all this deep dive on the dead CCGs that from the 90s that inspired sorcery, and he showed me like some pictures of his dead gaming collection, and in the background he had a few sorcery paintings, and one of them was your dromedary, and it had this like big like gold elaborate frame on it. And it's funny because all his other frames are very simple because he's trying to fit as many as he can on his wall, but that one he said that's the fanciest frame he has for all of his paintings.
Wow, amazing. I didn't see that. I want to see that.
I'll have to show you the picture. Yeah, it's really cool. And then
I want to see that.
I'll send it to you later for sure. But it's awesome because like I was saying, you did all landscape art except for the dromedary, but we know you're capable of doing much more than that, and this proves it with this Spellslinger avatar figure. It came out really great.
Yeah, actually I did more than landscapes also for 3D Legends, but nice. I cannot review yet. But
yeah,
those were amazing to paint as well.
That's awesome.
Soon you would discover.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be coming soon. So I think like there's going to be spoilers over the next month or so. And then we're less than 2 months away from the official release, right? September, October. Yeah. Less than 2 months. And Arthurian Legends will be here. So very exciting.
Yeah, I did some really really interesting stuff there.
Awesome. You getting me excited, man. I can't wait to see. But your landscapes are beautiful. I know, like, so a lot of your altars were landscape style art, right? So that's kind of your specialty and what you're known for. But that's really great that you're venturing out and doing new stuff.
Yeah, even when painting something other than landscapes, I enjoy doing the landscapes behind the main focus, like this Pale Slinger himself. The focus here is the character, but you
Hmm.
see all the background, the landscape, the ruins, the mountain he's standing
Wow.
on. The landscape show is very storytelling.
Yes.
Shows what is happening, shows the mood, and yeah, I just love painting the landscape.
Yeah, it's an amazing idea to merge the beauty of both worlds. You know, have the central avatar figure, but then also the detail of the background is really special. Did that take you? Does that take long? I mean, it must take a while to paint. You know, did you do the outline of the avatar first and get the background right before you fill in the detail of the avatar figure?
Yeah, most of times I do first the landscape, and
Hmm.
after that the figures.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, we did some cool stuff with the dromedary too. I think you maybe approached it the same way with the embellished prints. There you had to kind of paint over it more like an altar, but that's cool.
Yeah.
So the landscapes are great, man. And like I went back and like I was thinking like a lot of artists took a step forward and really are doing some tremendous things for Arthurian legends. But when I looked at your artwork and I went back to it, I mean the first ones you did were absolutely amazing too. Like the updraft ridge and the Stonehenge one that became standing stones. They changed the name. Incredible detail there. So just the greatness continues, and the valley is like the magnus opus of it all. I think.
Thanks. The valley
But
is right there, actually.
yep. Wow.
There. The valley, the wasteland, the stream. And up here is
Spire.
the yes, the spire.
Yeah, similar idea there too, because you have the tower in the front, but then the very elaborate background is really cool. Is that did he ask for like a? Is that kind of like the idea of it? The spire is supposed to be the central figure, and then you kind of took some liberties to choose the background vibe.
Yeah, yes. Eric always gave me a lot of freedom to paint those. I imagine it is the same with all of the artists working for Sorcery.
Mm-hmm.
The amazing part is that we have a lot of freedom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
great.
yeah, the tower was the main thing to show up, but yeah, a lot of the sky and the colors. Actually, the only the requested thing that Eric asks is the
Mm-hmm.
color. Like the
Oh.
spire
Mm-hmm.
is an air card, so the purplish colors is requested.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Because you knew like what, so you knew what element type they would be used for. If it was water or fire or air, I mean, you had to fit that right.
Yeah, so I believe I made one for Arthurian Legends, and I didn't know that it was going to be used for the air element, and
Hmm.
I painted it with totally earthy colors.
Yeah.
Yes, and the painting was nice, but Eric asked me to redo it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of the color shape.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Like sometimes he's spoken about that and said sometimes like what the artist comes up with, he's able to tailor for the card, and other times it just doesn't work, and some changes need to be made. But yeah, that's interesting. So man, yeah, all of those are beautiful, and I guess so we ran a poll on the Sorcery Community Facebook group and asked people what their four favorite paintings were of your new four Atlas lands, right? And the winner was You remember?
I believe it was streams, I
Yep.
guess.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've been teasing. We got an announcement coming up this week, and you're going to offer one of your paintings starting tonight, Sunday night through Friday night. So do you want
Yes.
to
Yes.
announce that?
Yes, we can do an action for the streams. It was the most voted one.
Awesome,
So,
man.
yes, it is coming up for auction tonight.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think so. I didn't want to bias the poll and say anything to the public before I ran that, because but the streams I think it's between the stream and the valley for me. I really love those because I like aesthetic beauty and of course the valley too. I like more of the natural beauty more so than like the burning world fire type stuff typically, even though those are awesome in their own right. But yeah, that streams one, and it looks like I mentioned I got the draft kit cards. When you see it on the card, it's really awesome, and they're all non-foil. So one thing I wonder is, will these? I'm guessing these will also exist in the core Arthurian Legends set. I hope, and then we'll see a foil variant of each of those. But even the non-foils look great.
Actually, I saw somewhere, I think, I can't remember where I did see, but I believe the foil versions of those will be available at the Dust Store as a
Oh,
reward.
maybe
I,
that's what it was. Yeah, it must have been
yeah,
at GenCon and maybe mentioned in one of those interviews with Simon.
yes,
Oh,
at
okay. Yeah,
GenCon,
Hayne just
yes,
confirmed.
at GenCon we did see the Spellslinger foil version, but
Yeah.
the normal lens foil version, I believe it would be a reward at the Dust Store.
Okay. Yeah, Lord of Itza says there are foils. They were prizes for top players in the draft pods at Gen Con. Okay, so that's where we saw them, and then they'll be added to the dust store. Nice. I'll have to go for those. That's cool.
Yes,
Awesome, man.
amazing.
So is Vivian around? Did she want to make a cameo or no? Is Vivian
What?
around?
Sorry?
Did Vivian want to pop on and say hi or no? Is she being
Yes, of
shy?
course.
Yeah. Call her in. So of course, like Vivian's been doing,
Hello,
hey,
Mikey.
nice
Hello,
to see you.
everybody.
Thanks for popping on. Yeah, Vivian's been doing amazing altar work. You guys are like both incredibly talented, especially at landscape painting. And I love Vivian. You're like starting to incorporate some concepts with like Caio, like also introducing the figure with the beautiful landscape in the background. Really awesome.
Tá falando que você
Nice
é muito
work.
talentosa e tem muita criatividade para poder incorporar todas as ideias nas cartinhas.
Muito obrigada.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Tell her thanks for coming on. Her work's like very popular. People are really excited about her altars.
Yeah, I'll tell her. That's really inspires her.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah, I'm really happy for both of you. Is she also like a self-taught artist like yourself?
Yes, we grew up together in this
Oh,
art work. Yeah,
that's awesome.
yes, I teach her some things, and she also teaches me a lot of stuff too.
That's beautiful,
And
man.
yeah, thanks. I believe I am here today. All thanks to her.
Wow, that's really nice, man. It's a touching story, and I always tell people it's very inspirational that you're self-taught. There's some aspiring altarist types, like all over, in sorcery community and other games like Magic, trying to learn and get better and better. And like you're a testament to like if you work really hard and continue to improve gradually, you'll be at the top of your game. I mean, the work behind you is absolutely stunning. I think it's so fitting for sorcery. I mean, you're one of the best, man. It's so awesome. I'm very happy for both of you guys.
Thank you, Mike. That really means a lot.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, is there anything else you wanted to say before I let you drop off? And you should continue to watch. We're going to have a fun time for the next couple hours, probably.
Well, I believe everyone will enjoy also the upcoming works that will be revealed by the other artists as well. I heard many of them made their best works ever in this for this set, and just like everyone else, I am really hyped to see all the artwork and the cards themselves, because I am also a player.
Oh, you're learning the game? You're playing it? That's great.
Yes, always that I have the chance, because I have a little kid, and if I don't take
Oh,
care,
yeah.
she ends up tearing everything up.
I can totally relate, man. Yeah, and it's too bad. Like, I know you really wanted to come to Sorcery Con, and we'll definitely miss you if the time doesn't work out there. But do you think you'll be able to try to come to the U.S. next year?
Yeah, I'll try to. Taking the American visa is very complicated. Takes
Mm-hmm.
like 6-7 months to get done.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, so if we plan ahead, we'd love to get you out to the East Coast event that we just had in Baltimore was an amazing time, so that could be an option probably earlier in the calendar year, I would guess. Or maybe there'll probably be a Sorcery Con next fall again to coincide with the next release. But yeah, anytime, man. It'd be great to connect in person and connect with the fans. So the fans love meeting the artists and vice versa. The artists love to connect with their fans. It's a real special experience. So I hope to see you soon.
Thanks a lot, Mike. I really appreciate it, and thanks for inviting me.
Yeah,
I'm feeling very
absolutely.
honored.
I appreciate it, and we'll see the stream coming soon. And I wish you best of luck on that one. Great work, man.
Thank you a lot.
All right, have a nice day. Take care.
You too, man. Take care.
See ya. All right, guys, that was awesome. Caio and Vivian are both incredible people. So what I'm gonna do here is Lord of Itza is about to come on. He's in full uniform for his new attire. I'm gonna throw you up there, Itza. Hey man, what's up?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good. I'm gonna go to the overhead cam because I got some stuff to tease before we get into the alpha box. So I think the way we'll do it is I got like a few announcements, and then you're fresh off of GenCon, and I see you got the what do you got there? The Menges sketch over your head there.
That's the sketch. Yep, sure do. Also, you were mentioning the foil lands. There they are.
Oh, you got one.
Yeah, that's them right there. So they come in the dust pack, so they're sealed in that pack like they do. I think the real question is going to be if they're going to actually make it so that they're one per person, because then it's going to be real hard to get a play set if you want to go draft with them and be all shiny.
So the yeah, like when they did the foot soldiers as dust rewards, was that a kit of all three soldiers?
I think so. Yeah,
I think yeah.
But they were the big cards too. They weren't tokens, so I don't know that a lot of people were really using those for play. Maybe they were, but
you haven't seen that at GenCon or anywhere?
I didn't say anything like that. I know there's several people out there hunting down rubble. They want the foil rubbles, and they're trying to get as many of those as they can. So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because that's playable. But the tokens being full size, I mean, they're quarter size for a reason, so that makes sense. They're more for the binder. But yeah, with these, they're totally playable, and it'd be awesome to play with a set of foils. And to your point, like, yeah, you could have 4 of each per deck. So it would be nice if they also.
You can have as many as you want in limited.
Oh,
so
okay.
In limited, you might need 5 or 6 of these things. So that's going to be I'm wondering if they're going to limit them or not. They may not this time. So
okay,
yeah,
that'd be a cool idea. All right, man. Well, what I thought I'm gonna do, I'm gonna introduce some announcements because we have about 26 people. It's a decent core amount of people. And then as I'm opening the alpha box, we're gonna have an alpha box break. You can tell us about the GenCon experience. So Let me configure the overhead. Yeah, let me do this. Actually, you know what? I like. Hang on a second. I like to be on the left for some reason, but that'll work fine. And of course, the crossbar is never in the right spot, and we have intense glare, so I got to mess with the lights a little bit, and probably just do one thing at a time as I zoom. So, few things here. So first, this one is up right now. So the grapple shot. Actually, let's talk about that since we have the game player expert. Actually, you know what? Let me give you a minute to introduce your background and your connection to the game and how you've been helping with the tournament scene and stuff like that at the conventions.
Sure. So I worked, basically I've just, I haven't played a TCG for 15 years. And so I decided to pick this one up. It just looked interesting to me. So I backed the Kickstarter, did that whole thing. And since that time, I helped out at the social and the Courtesan Cup. assisted with judging of the Corson Cup with Zach, and also helped do the learn to plays there. Also was given the duty of putting up all the art, which was a little bit stressful.
Oh yeah.
And then of course, worked GenCon. Anyone who was at GenCon, I'm sure knows me now because I shouted the whole time. Was assisting with the judging at nearly every one of the constructed or limited events. I didn't do the one that was on Friday. I didn't assist with that one, but all the others I was there quite a bit, helped with the learn to plays there as well. So really that's what I'm trying to do, is just, help out and try to build the community, get a good player base. And of course I've been in your Discord and all the other Discords.
Yeah.
I wish there were fewer Discords. But
It's wild. It's just snowballs. There's more and more every day, it seems like.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's great, man. Yeah, you've been doing a lot of. I really appreciate your help to all these events, because I was listening to an interview with Sorcerer's Quest. This guy Spencer has a small channel he's trying to grow, and he's doing a great job interviewing a lot of people. And he was interviewing Kevmo and Rude, and they were talking about like how some of these events only had like 2 judges, and they're just like slammed, like working around the clock. I know Hayne was very heavily taxed last year at GenCon. Dealing with just like around the clock, like really intense, like having to focus and help and be like dedicated to that all day. And that comes at a sacrifice to yourself, because you're fully committed to that one thing and you don't get to enjoy all the other sidebar experiences and even just work in the room and talking to friends and stuff, So it's a commitment for sure.
Yeah. And I think the problem we have now is a lot of the judges want to play. They all want to play in the events. So that makes it even worse. I will say this, I saved more money at this Gen Con than I have since I started attending, because I had no time to go spend money. So
yeah, that's true. That's one benefit. But yeah, I mean, it is tough too. And then like, even I was talking Friday night, I was talking with Sophie and Jurgen, and I was telling them like, I want to like do like, I've played, so I don't need to learn to play. I'm a fairly skilled individual, but I don't want to go to these events and play, because then I can't like walk around and talk to people. I got to sit at the table for hours on end, and there's an opportunity cost to do so. So it really depends. Like, you got to choose your experience and kind of shape it how you want at these events, because there's so much to do. And I know at Sorcery Con Las Vegas, we're going to have all kinds of play formats. We're going to have at least 8 artists have been announced, 7 sorcery artists. And then there's going to be 1 altarist so far, Dustin Brossard. And then I'm hoping 2 more. I'm working with at least 2 more sorcery artists. So it'd be great to get to that even number of 10 artists would be incredible. And so, you could walk around, you could talk with each of the 10 artists. That's going to take time, get signatures, buy prints, whatever, maybe even originals. And just like talking with people, right? So there's that, or you play, or you try to do a mix of everything is probably the ideal balance if you're a player and collector type.
Yeah, and that's the best part about multi-day events, right? You can dedicate a day to play. You can dedicate a day to a vendor hall. You can dedicate a day to talking to the artist. So that's why I prefer the big multi-day events.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and so last thing I want to ask you about your intro. How did you learn the game? Are you self-taught?
I played a lot of TCGs in the past, but yeah, so self-taught, but okay. If you have any basis in TCGs, especially, the bigger ones, a lot of these concepts come very easily. I will say that Sorcery has some depth because of the grid that is very challenging to learn, especially for new players. The difference between a site and a location, understanding the regions and how they impact your ability to cast spells or impact other things in other regions. Those minutia are the type of thing that, in my opinion, make the game much more challenging than a standard TCG. But also, they're very difficult for new players to learn and understand. So that's the big challenge with Sorcery when you're teaching it. You've got to start out with the basic stuff, and then you have to layer on these added issues with the difference between those things.
Yeah, well, on that point, though, like I think Sorcery, in my experience, tends to appeal to more of a middle-aged demographic, like 35 to 45-ish on average.
Yeah.
Are you finding that in the learn to plays that people are coming in with baseline TCG experience more middle-aged, or are there also like a healthy mix of this is like their first TCG type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there are definitely more middle-aged players, and
Mm-hmm.
there were more players that have TCG experience. But I did have some younger players who were in their 20s who showed up for the Learn to Plays, but they also had TCG experience. You know, it's not like back in the 90s where nobody had ever done this.
Okay.
So, you know, you've got people in their 20s who they've played other card games, so because they started when they were 15 or 16 or whatever. So even if they're in their
Yeah.
early 20s or whatever, it's fine. So
Yeah, they have baseline experience. Yeah, and I'm similar story. Like Caio, I have little kids. I have little kid syndrome where I don't have much time to play play games. But I played Magic as a kid. I played Hearthstone years ago. So like I know the fundamentals. I played with Angerworm. Taught me how to play this game, Sorcery. So I understood it did feel complex, and like my mind was like strained. Like for the 1 hour we were playing with the pre-con kit deck, so I was like thinking hard about the multi-dimensional aspect of it because the grid-based concept was new to me. I hadn't really played a lot of grid-based games other than conventional board games. But you know, it is learnable, like you say, if you have the baseline TCG knowledge. It kind of makes sense, and it's impressive too because there's more depth to it when you play on a grid.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think the struggle with introducing new players who don't have TCG background, those are the folks we're going to really have to work with to get them to jump in, because they're going to need to learn that baseline and then go above. So
yeah,
those are the folks that, you know, I really want to focus on trying to get in, because they're going to be the tougher ones to rope in, I think.
Sure.
But I think the grid is going to let us bring in board gamers. Which is a big deal. That's a big group of people to tap. So,
yes.
You know, I'm all about trying to get the board game folks in. That's who I focus in my local area. I talk to board gamers. Try this out, you know.
Yeah, let's talk more about that when we get into it. I'm curious, like how many board game players you're finding versus conventional TCG players. But I think GenCon probably was a mixed bag, maybe a more TCG slant, I would guess. But then Spiel Essen is a big board game convention, so that is a massive opportunity for Sorcery, and I'm pumped that they have a booth there. So, all right, let's go to the overhead cam. There's a few things. Let me just chip away at a few things I have on the desk here. So, the Alan Pollock, he's the what I want to. This is why I started asking you about your background. So, the grapple shot in this interview I was talking about with Spencer and Kevmo and Rude, they said that the grapple shot. So, this card is like, I don't know if it's OP or not. I'm interested in your perspective on that, but it's definitely very powerful, very meta relevant. Everyone uses it, it seems. And this is an artist proof, so you have an amazing painting on the back from Alan Pollock. But they were saying something about, like, did they already errata this and change it a little bit, or is that something that people are expecting might happen in the future, and or like they might introduce cards in Arthurian Legends or other future sets to kind of temper its power or introduce more counter effects for it?
Yeah, I mean, with the change to projectile, that sort of already changed it, right? Because the changes with projectile impacted grapple shot. But the card itself hasn't been errated. It's just those changes to projectile did impact it and change how it functions. Now, a lot of people think it's over the top and too good. It is an extremely good card. But I think that there are bigger problems than grapple shot that need to be dealt with in the game.
Okay.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the company's on record kind of saying, and this is like typical of all TCGs, you know, like, or most, right? Like they don't want to change, they don't want to like ban initial cards and make them so you can never play them again, like the alpha and beta cards. If they turn out to be fairly overpowered, what they would rather do is introduce ways to counter it in future set releases, or you know, things to balance it out a little bit. And some of these, like, this is an earth card, right? So like you can only get this benefit in that elemental deck type. So there might be something in other element deck types that counter that, right?
Yeah. Well, that's air, but
air. Sorry, yeah, inverted. Look here. Yeah. Now it's earth. Now it's earth. There you go.
That
always trips me up. Yeah, that makes sense too. Launching a projectile. Yeah. So Alan Pollock's the latest artist to come to SorceryCon. Is really exciting. I don't know what's going on with my autofocus now, but Alan is awesome, man. His like detail, like you could tell on this painting here, and I'm going to show you another one in a moment. That detail, like he actually like repainted it with a more zoom perspective. First of all, like I sold this original painting, And it was like so stunning in person. I was like absolutely amazed because on the card it looks a little darkish, but like when you see it in person, it's actually a little lighter. Like it's very clearly evident on the artist proof that it's lighter, but it's just like the pristine, like detail and skill level is always so tremendously refined. And I'm actually in Liz Danforth's her Patreon, but also for her Patreon members, she has a fairly small Discord, maybe like a couple hundred people, so it's kind of intimate. But she's talked like several times about how she's so impressed with Alan Pollock and thinks he's like an amazing artist, like unbelievable skill. She wishes she could do some of the things he does, and all the artists say this about the other artists. I wish I could do this or that. I can't really do this or that, right? But they're amazing at what they do, so they all say that about each other. But yeah, he's universally respected, and it's just amazing. It always looks great. And this was the fun special card from the pledge pack. They're all signed by Eric. There we go. There's the autofocus. And I actually, hang on 1 second here. I was fortunate enough to acquire this painting recently of this original by Alan, the Sorcerer. So it's really cool. Do you see a lot of people playing this card, or is it kind of like a niche because it was in the pledge pack and not everybody was in that early?
Yeah, it's a niche thing, but I think they're just people just aren't playing it. Although at GenCon there was a person playing the sketch signed one. Someone was playing with one of those.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Francesca Barral sketch, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I think more people will play with them, but it's just there's not a whole bunch of those out there, right? And some people won't open their pledge pack. So now you're limiting even the number that's out there. So
okay. Yep. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I got a bunch in the Avatar pledge, and I opened one, and I was like, why do I need to open more than one, right? So I have a bunch that are sealed. Yeah. But because I wanted to have like a copy to kind of take some pictures of it with the painting and stuff. All right, so that's the Pollock, and then. These are the Caio art. So it was awesome were you on seeing Caio's original paintings of this?
Yes, sure did. Yeah.
It was amazing, man. And the foil looks great. Hopefully these would be, did you get any insight on like if, how, and when these are going to be available to the public?
So it's my understanding that this is the con exclusive this year. So if you go to Spiel, if you go to Sorcery Con, that's how you're going to get that. And I think it's very similar to, in a way, the Crown Sorcerers that we had originally last year. I'm guessing, and this is just a total guess, but every year I think that they're going to put out a promo con card. I think this year our foil spell slingers it. So.
Yep, we got 2 years in a row, so there's a trend there. The only thing in that regard that I was somewhat disappointed about is they had the crown in the like foil in the background. I love that about last year's promo. This one, like, it would have been cool if they had like some kind of Arthurian Legends like sword emblem in there, like the set symbol in the background, something like that to differentiate it.
They could put the year too.
Yeah.
Since they're going to do a year, if they're going to do a yearly one, put the year, 2024.
Right.
Because then that way they could make a foil version of it for people who never got the con promo.
Exactly. Yeah, like offer like a foil version in the dust store or something, right? But then make the con one unique with that emblem.
Yes.
I think
something, an emblem. Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah. So really quick on the on this draft kit, these are, I don't know if people have fully dug into these, but you get, so this is like to facilitate the draft experience in store or whatever. Like some people in their clubs, like these old school Magic guys that are setting up sorcery clubs, they're playing draft style, so they're opening packs and building decks. So you get a starter kit of several copies of each of the basic lands and the avatars, so you can have a draft play experience. Because something like, and then there's a nice little like how to draft rule card. But the cool thing about that is there's a lot of talk about this early on. Like in Alpha, there's 403 cards, right? With the pull rates and the cost aside, even just pull rates alone, it was hard to get enough basic lands to have enough functional decks. And especially when you're playing draft style with Alpha packs, or I think Beta is the same, you're short on Atlas cards, right? Just to have a functional setup.
Yeah, and actually, even with that draft kit, you need 2 of those for a pot of 8. And even with 2 of those, you might not necessarily have enough of those basic sites. Because if enough players all play fire, well, everyone just doesn't get enough wastelands, because the count of cards in there, each person basically ends up with 3 copies of each of the sites. And that's not enough to run a typical deck, since you need 12 sites.
Sure. Okay. Gotcha. And then, so sample cards, I'm probably going to open up a sample break again. I got to pause every once in a while because they're nearing extinction levels. I'm telling you, like, they're so hard to get now, and they're like extremely expensive to acquire. So I'd like to be able to do this for the long haul, but someone wanted to offer up via auction a couple of massive staples for sample cards. So the Empyrean Net is one that has like a special mystique about it because it's an awesome, pretty like touching kind of concept from Drew Tucker, because it has like this family walking across the plank to the dragon net. You see the dragon in there, caught within the net, and it's just like a beautiful artwork. That it's very different for like a Drew Tucker. I feel like, especially like from his other sorcery artworks, it's got this like natural scenic beauty with the beautiful sky and the big net and the family walking across and kind of the scenic detail on the bottom. So that's an awesome one, and of course the Grim Reaper. Now, take a look at the effect here on this one. I think this changed in the final version. I don't know if you could see it, but it says Voidwalk Immortal. Summon this Reaper to a random location determined by rolling a d20. When it shares a location with another minion, kill that minion, then place this Reaper in your discard pile.
Yeah.
Did the effect on that change?
Oh, completely. Yeah. Because I mean, now it's got a strike, and it has lethal when it has to do the strike. So that whole placing it randomly, that all is gone. So yeah.
Is the immortal keyword mechanic, was that removed?
That was removed. Yeah. Like, there's no card with that. Yeah.
I love that word.
Yeah. I don't know.
It just sounds like strong, immortal. It's freaking awesome. So those are 2 like massive sample cards. It'll be interesting to see what the level of interest in those. All right. So the last thing before we get into the break, and I gotta pump Bearish because I'm a simp for Bearish. They got the best acrylic cases. So I got my alpha box in the acrylic case here. But this is so I kind of tease this. Like, there's a new, this is going to be like a new altar concept that's also coming tonight. So tonight we're going to launch the stream painting, original painting from Caio, which is a beautiful, awesome landscape painting that we just saw. And then a couple things going on with the Sleeping Giant, one of which I can announce tonight that's going to come tonight also. For auction at the Sorcery Community Group and the Collector Arthouse Discord. But what I have here is, and this is really interesting. Let me get into like the history of what this is first. First of all, there's the Spellcraft, right? So very early on, this probably dated back to definitely well before Kickstarter. I want to say maybe 2020-ish time frame, early 2020. The name of the game was still not settled. It wasn't yet Sorcery Contested Realm, and Eric even published on the Sorcery page that they were asking fans like what they were asking them to like kind of just weigh in on what they thought the name of the game should be. So they were thinking about calling the game Atlas, and Spellcraft was one, and then like there was like a few different variants, right? So initially they had these like self-printed cards. I think these were printed by Eric in New Zealand, locally, these Spellcraft ones. I was able to acquire them. Just luckily I connected with someone that was involved in the project very early on and did a lot of the typeline text and flavor text. He's kind of like a writer for TCGs, so that's how he got involved working with Eric. So I got a number of these, and that's the history on that. So they predate the actual alpha release. And then what was fascinating is there were several of them that had these different artworks from the artists that we know. This one is Elvira Palakowska and Sleeping Giant, right? And then we know in alpha there's Sleeping Giantess by Liz Danforth. So it makes you wonder, like, will there be a Sleeping Giant in Arthurian Legends? Could this be one of the core 220 or like a new card? I guess it wouldn't be an alternate art because it's a male figure. It's a giant and not a giantess. But will there be like a giantess introduced now with this artwork from Elvira? There's several artworks that predated Alpha that were not used in the game. So that's one nuance. Giant versus giantess. It's by Elvira. I think the mechanic, so if I remember correctly, in the Alpha version, it's something comparable, right? It's like either is it 3 to cast and 6
It's
power level?
a 3/5. Yeah, it's a
3/5.
Yeah, 3/5. Yeah.
So do you see this? And this says the giant sleeps until attacked. It must immediately attack the creature that it woke up. So that second aspect that it immediately has to attack the creature that poked it is gone.
Yeah.
But it comes into place sleeping and needs to be hit to get procced, right?
Now, because this was so early, I'm assuming we didn't have Genesis yet. So it is a Genesis effect for the Sleeping Giantess, which that's a big deal because if you drop, the Giantess somewhere where Genesis doesn't happen, then she awakes immediately.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In the new alpha version, you mean?
Yeah. So like if you have let's say you have your own root spider and you drop your Giantess there, well, her Genesis effect doesn't go off, and then you can move your root spider and she's not disabled anymore and she's awake.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So are you finding that it's a fairly meta-relevant card given the cost to cast versus power level?
It's very popular in the Fury Road decks. Yes. I was actually just watching the video just before I came on here of the top 8 for GenCon, just because I wanted to get a bigger view of those and a breakdown of them because I didn't get the time to really look through those decks. And it's really interesting. Everyone was playing Earth, but I don't remember how many Sleeping Giantesses were actually in those decks. I don't feel like there were a ton, but Roots was dominated. There was a lot of Roots decks. So
yeah, I know Roots is big. The other interesting thing is it's a mythic, right? And that's like another keyword that is no longer in the game or did not transcend into alpha. So this is a pretty cool special historic relic. But now taking this a step further, there was, for the past 2 years, I've been telling the gameplay content creators or the company, I was like, look, there's a massive opportunity here to tell the story of the flavor of sorcery by looking at combo cards. And I think Chase kind of picked up on this, and you see that he's posting those things that saying name this combo type thing on their social media. But still, I think there's an opportunity to say, how do these effects tell the story of how these effects actually work, like the combo cards, maybe demonstrated in a video? You could do this because you know how to play the game. I suggest you do, please, because it still hasn't happened just yet. But I think it would be awesome to expose people, existing players, to kind of demonstrate combos, but especially new players to say look how awesome the spatial aspect of this grid-based game is, and how these cards synergize together to create effects that you won't get playing Magic or Flesh and Blood and some of these other alternative games, because it's not grid-based, right? So it's unique to the game, and it's pretty cool. So so I'm trying to do this. I had this idea early on, and I did this initially with Marta Molina, where I wanted to capture gameplay experiences through artistic expression, because the beauty of art is in the storytelling, right? So I said another way to do this, and now with altars, it's especially unique because you could take 2 meta-relevant cards, have an altar of each, and then it's kind of a surprise and fun element where you pull the card or you play the card, you get the art work that people aren't expecting, and then you get a second piece to synergize with it, and then that takes it to the next level. So one that I've seen people talking about that is popular is the Sleeping Giantess in a new one with the quarrelsome Kobolds, right? Because the Kobolds can't help but attack things around it or itself. Yeah. So I think this is a combo that people are playing with early on that can proc the Giantess, right?
Yeah. That was one of the key concepts of Fury Road. Yeah. The Fury Road deck used that. Yeah, the Giantess and the Kobolds. Also, Colicky Dragonettes were another thing they'd use to wake up the giant. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So those are the 2 spellcraft cards of that. And then, so this is going to be launching tonight. I worked with one of the artists. Let me get the first one first, right? So Atlas Thorn, right? He did a take on the Slumbering Giantess. Beautiful painting, like he always does. The guy's an absolute amazing master. And so this is so now we can compare the effects. I guess I could have had this up, but I wanted to tease it a little, like I always do. So the Giant and the Giantess, let me do it like this, old versus new. We had Elite Mythic is gone. It actually became an exceptional. Giant is the keyword. So we have different types of characters, and maybe that becomes increasingly relevant in time. But like we said, that second part about it must immediately attack is no longer there. It comes into play, and it falls asleep, and then it needs to be hurt to be disabled, or just the slumbering effect to wake it up.
Yeah.
Right? So you got this, and then you have the matching Quarrelsome Kobolds, which makes the continuous piece. Look at that artwork. And I have a picture that actually it's hard in the top loader, But then you have the full-length slumbering giantess with those pesky little bastards crawling up her leg and poking her to life. The guy's incredible, man. I love his stuff.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Beautiful. And again, like just like we were talking about with Caio, like you have the prominent figure and the beautiful detail of that, but then this like mind-blowing background, which is like you could very easily just kind of like take a shortcut there and just have like a natural like blended painted easy background, right? But he has all this detail with the forest and the painted trees and then the stream in the back and the mountainous range. It's just freaking awesome. And then it's amazing how he takes it from concept to painting. Most of his stuff comes with a sketch of the initial concept. So you see, again, like it started with a simple concept of this beautiful giantess just taking a nap there on the rocks. And then he fills in all that detail in the vast landscape. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But I love this idea, like, because I want to like offer as many. You see, I've been going heavy on altar offers, mixing them in just as much, if not more, than artist proofs, because there's so many cons coming up. And I'd love to see people show up to these conventions and play with these in their deck. Would be really cool.
Yeah. And you could even like look at the top 8 decks at GenCon and just suggest and look for those combos and suggest like Rudosaurus ran a really cool deck and finished 4th place, which used silence to make minions like Pirate Ship and Sedge Crabs. It eliminated their limitations. So it'd be cool to have like silence and Sedge Crabs or silence and Pirate Ship, and like I don't know how like the Pirate Ship somehow is on land.
Yeah, exactly, man. I'm gonna hit you up for those combos and like because that's exactly what we're trying to do. We want to bring real life game experiences to life through artistic form. To really take it to the next level. Because like you get one in play and they're like, because this could stand alone. You're like, oh wow, look at that beautiful slumbering giantess. And they're like, oh holy shit, look at it. There's the other missing link, and it like works together as a combo actually in the gameplay is amazing.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot of fun. So we'll be seeing more of that. But all right, let's get to the alpha box break. And we'll talk about this is a bearish case, right? So on the, they put the logo on the bottom. Like all these manufacturers have their logo somewhere. These guys very smartly designed it on the bottom, and it's twofold benefit to that. One, that's the bottom because that's where the label is, and it reminds you that the shutter door is supposed to go on the bottom. Like some people, like I actually had a natural tendency when the guys introduced the product to me, I was like, oh, I'll just put it on the top. Then I could just slide it in and out, pull it out, no big deal. But the way they explained it to me is, for one, like they didn't want any magnets, any kind of like snapping mechanism, anything that could break and cheapen the quality. So it's a simple shutter door, just slides in and out, and there is a grooved lip, so it just stays in there and it stays in place. However, with the weight of the box itself, it ensures that shutter door is not going to slide out. And it's not a big deal. Like it's going to sit on your shelf, so it's never going to slide out anyway. But if you're like, if you're lifting it up and handling it and stuff, it's not just going to like fall out because of the weight of the box itself. So there's the plug for the bearish cases. And of course, I have a discount code of Arthouse 5 that I include in all the videos. You got to pull it out straight, or else it gets jammed up. And then in my Patreon, I have an exclusive 10% off code. Which
I have a whole video about these too. So if you need more of an endorsement.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I remember that. You did a great job of that. This is like, people are loving this product, and I'm pretty sure I saw Sophie. Sorry, I ignored your message there while I was rambling. She says, get those guys to come out to Spiel Essen. I don't know if they can go to Germany. That's an expensive trip, but I think they're going to come to Sorcery Con Las Vegas, and I don't want to officially announce that prematurely, but I think they're strongly considering coming out and either having a booth or at least being there to... They had a great experience in Baltimore, like great reception. They're making a product. I think it's okay to say that they're absolutely going to have a product for Arthurian Legends, and I think they're trying hard to get it, out as soon as close to release as possible. So as soon as we get our boxes, just slap them in a case if you want to display a couple. So while I'm getting into this, man, first of all, cheers to you again for your great efforts.
No problem.
we got to bring these to sorcery. These are shot glass style. It's funny because I ordered these on Amazon and they were advertised as like wine glasses, and they're like $20. I think they were like $20 for the pair, and I was like, oh, they're gonna be like, I wanted like a full size full size like Holy Grail that I could drink like a glass of wine at GenCon or fill up with like Old English or something, right? But they came as these little shot glasses, and I was like surprised, but also like kind of happy about it because then I could just take shots with them in Vegas.
Yeah, there you go.
So I don't know. Like I had an idea. I don't want to spoil it. I have an idea for these to try to incorporate into the Vegas experience, but at a minimum, I want to bring some of those so we could have some drinks. So tell us about GenCon. What was the So you were working in the stadium most of the time. But did you get some exposure to the booth and have some insights on what the reception was like?
Yeah, so when they announced that they were getting the booth, I've been GenCon. I've been going there since I moved to Indy, which has been, I think they came in 2003, so I think that's right. So I've been going there since then. And when they finally made the announcement that they got the booth, I was immediately concerned just because of line management. And then when they made the announcement about Melissa Benson being there, I was like, oh my God. Because it's going to attract, all the Magic players once they find out. And I was worried for them in terms of line management. GenCon gets real antsy about line management. They want the lines, where they want them at. So Thursday morning, the first place I went to was the booth, and I did that Friday morning as well. And there was a line, and Thursday's the worst day because a lot of people want to get all their shopping out of the way Thursday. They want to get what they get, be done, and then they're going to game the rest of the weekend. I think the line then was probably the worst. And I kind of helped guide that line a little bit, kept people, in the line and kept it so that that's why I tried to help out in that way. And I did that Friday morning as well. And I think by Saturday it had calmed down enough where they didn't need, a fourth hand basically to navigate that line. I was probably a little overzealous, but I hate lines that are not well managed. I've been to cons with poorly managed lines, including one where I was trying to meet William Shatner. And I was told by 5 different people working that con to get in 5 different lines, and I'm like, someone better figure this out.
Yeah, that's funny, man.
Yeah,
he is so popular, that guy. And he goes to so many cons.
yeah. I mean, that's what he does a lot of con work now. So
yeah.
But that was the thing. So at the booth, it was really nice to see that kind of excitement for the game and all those people lining up. I did recognize several of them from Baltimore. But then there were a lot of new folks, a lot of new players, a lot of players interested in getting in. And to keep that line down, we actually just started asking them questions. Hey, are you just here for the promo? Do you want to see the new stuff? So we kind of moved the line that way too and let those folks get the promos and get out of the line. So
sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you kind of get the feel and you optimize as the week goes on.
Yeah.
That's cool. Or the few days. It feels like it probably felt like a week. It's funny, like every one of you that volunteered got sick. I know Drew was sick, and you were sick, right?
I'm still getting over it. Yeah.
Simon, Chase, Benson. I think all of them went down.
Yeah. They did an informal poll on the Fans of GenCon page, and like a huge number of people got ill. So. Oh
my God. Yeah, I went to the IX Art Show. Was it last year? I came back with COVID after that one.
Yeah.
So I got to be careful. And Elvira Shakarova is going to be there, and Jeff Menges and Drew Tucker, I think, are the 3 sorcery artists. And of course, Elvira and I are coming to GenCon. So is Jeff Menges. I think Drew Tucker's going somewhere else in Europe. So unfortunately, he can't come to SorceryCon. But we got to be careful and stay healthy there this year.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So we got 4 people. There's this label in the boxes. Yeah, so it sounds like great reception. It was awesome. Like, it worked out beautifully that they got that booth last minute. And, like, credit to, from what I understand, like, Simon did a lot of the scrambling to pull together some of that awesome setup type stuff. Like the case looked freaking awesome with the display case, and I think they were planning the Arthurian Legends booster box. I think because they kind of teased that, they said there would be like reveals and something special. So I always speculated they'd have a sealed box there. But what surprised me was the number of cards they revealed. It was actually way more than I would have guessed.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that. But you know what? It's GenCon. I mean, you've got a captive audience of 70,000 plus people. Do it, you know?
Right.
And then it'll get on the social media because it's GenCon. Plus, you'll just get people throwing up pictures on GenCon associated websites about the game, which gets you even more exposure. You know, it's not just confined to our sorcery group. So.
Yep. All right. So let's see here. I'm just going to grab it at random. We won't spin a wheel. AKK Bro. He's got the first 10. And you saw me, I was shuffling them up. I'm going to do like a shuffle upon shuffle and just grab them randomly off the piles. Someone gave me some advice last time. They're like, hey, maybe we should shuffle. And I was like, well, I was taking them like across, you know, because there's like all these like speculative theory. Like, oh, the foils are always in one row. But I've seen it vary tremendously. You never know.
Yeah, I've seen enough consistency with some issues where I do think alpha boxes should be shuffled.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so like were you at GenCon last year?
Every year. Well? I've been there every year since it was in Indy. So yeah.
That's right. You mentioned that. So last year they did not have an official booth. This year it was close, man, because they were like they did not at first. And then like some people started dropping out. There was some controversy we were seeing, and that kind of opened the door for sorcery. And thank God, because like you say, I think it made a huge splash.
Well, and given that they put all of the events, oh look at that, you're gonna start with the foil right off the bat. Yeah. Hey,
the towers. This is a beautiful foil.
Yeah.
I gotta get some.
Given that they dropped all the events out onto the stadium, I would have been very worried had they not had the booth. A lot of people don't like to make that walk. So the folks that go out to the stadium typically are those involved with the True Dungeon, which is a huge LARPing event that you can really only do at GenCon. And then you've got the board game library out there if you just want to go sit down and play board games. And a few other companies have their events pushed out to the stadium. But I think having that booth was key because, and I think Simon and Chase have mentioned it in some of the media that they put out since, that, you know, someone would come to the booth and then they'd go out to do a learn to play. And then they'd enjoy that learn to play so much, they'd come back to the booth and buy a box. So, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, and it was a long walk between the two, from what I hear, right?
Oh yeah, but, yeah. I mean, it's a haul.
So I mean, yeah. So the fact they were coming back and forth and had enough interest and patience to make that trek, I think, says how strongly the game resonated. They go and play it. If they come back to the booth and buy some product, that's the win. That's how you know.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't just that it was a long trek; it was also in a very crowded area. So where you had to go to get the food trucks. To the food trucks was on that same route between the convention hall and the stadium.
Okay.
So not only are you having to walk a long distance, you're in this mass.
Yeah, fighting traffic.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you know, I think it really does show how successful it was that people were making that trip multiple times. Because the booth was they put the booth in the farthest corner almost that they could have from the stadium.
Yeah, I heard that. Yep. Oh man, I love this artwork by Francesca.
Oh,
it's such a sophisticated piece, you know, like I posted some pictures in the sorcery community group of the work in progress of that one. And dude, so freaking I'm so frustrated about these European events because like I was begging the company for months. I was like, what is going on with Spiel? I was like, are artists coming or not? Is Eric going or not? What are you guys going to do? And now here we are like less than 2 months out. And they're like, oh yeah, Eric's going to be there. We're doing all this stuff at the LGS and freaking like we still don't know which artists or how many, but Like it almost didn't matter though, because like I was almost fully committed to going to Europe. I was definitely going to go to Spiel, and then they announced Sorcery Con is like 3 weeks later. So I was like, well, shit, I can't. I live on the East Coast. I can't go to Europe and go to. Actually, one of the artists invited me to stay with her in Europe too, like to go visit.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my god, like it's like feels like once in a lifetime. I felt so bad. Like so, I was definitely going to go. And then like when Sorcery Con was announced for Vegas, I was like, I was asked if I would help coordinate all of the artist activity for it, and I was like, yeah, of course I will. You know, it makes perfect sense. I could really help with that, and it's like important to do. Like I think it's a very important, significant event given the venue, given where we are with Sorcery and the magnitude of this release. So I had to give up the dream of Europe and pivot to Sorcery Con. So it's so bittersweet, and now like the local guys are announcing these events. Like from what I hear, there's an event that Severin Pinu and Vincent Pompetti are going to another like local event in, I want to say it's in Belgium or something.
Oh,
and they've been to one before, and then there's another event that the Italians are hosting that's gonna have Andrea Modesti, who I worship like a god, and Francesca Berald, who is also freaking amazing, and she like never leaves Italy, from what I understand. She mentioned that when she came on my channel one time that I don't think she's ever been to wow, that's a nice one. She's ever been to an event outside of Italy.
Really?
So,
I would think in Europe you would at least go to, I don't know, Switzerland or Germany or whatever. But that's interesting.
I know, because I was like, I remember she made a comment. She said she's like never been out of Italy. So then like I asked her like sometime later, I was like, hey, I remember when you came on for like the beta box break showcase thing, you made that comment. Do you mean like you've never traveled outside of Italy? And she's like, oh no, I have, like for vacation and stuff, but just for like events. There's like so many Italy events and shows that she just never has, I guess. And I don't know. She's such a high-profile artist that it was surprising to me. So yeah, these guys are having like a LGS tournament. I think it's a capacity of 64, so it's a nice like intimate setting. And, I found out yesterday, and I reached out to Modesti, and he was like, he's like, I'm a little nervous about it. Like I usually don't do things like this, interact with people. This is new to me. And it's funny because Brian Smith was the exact same way, and he's being asked to go to all the old school Magic/Sorcery events, and now he's coming to Vegas, like massive event. But like once they get their feet wet, they see how much the fans are embracing them, and they love it.
I mean, it's not a scary thing. Everyone that's going to be there wants to see you.
Yeah.
I guess it could be overwhelming from a social perspective, but
yeah. So the Aegis, I got the Aegis over here. It still has the plastic on the sides, but I recently got it back from the framer.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know, like, there's some glare there. I'm unsure about I got this like black matte frame, and I'm thinking it might need something a little more rugged. So I don't know, like I go back and forth on this one. I love the I got this beautiful like shimmery gold inner border to match the gold.
Yeah.
And then I went with the green matte to kind of accentuate the green stone floor and wall.
Yeah, but you almost want the frame to have some texture like the shield itself does.
Right. Yeah. So I might get the frame redone. I don't know. It kind of looks cool in a way, but I want to see some like you say, a little more rugged.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like with these frames, you could go with like a more modern vibe, or you can go with more of like a, I don't know, historic rugged type thing. Like I have the seasoned cell sword that Lindsay Cremette did, and that came framed already in a frame she had. It looked really perfectly fitting for it. I'll show you a Modesti painting in a minute while I'm on the topic. I thought he would never show. He's always gun shy and unsure about coming on the channel. I hope to get him on. So I'm hoping this event will break the ice and he'll come on my channel.
Yeah.
So we saw the iceberg. We didn't hit a curio earlier, did we?
No, I don't. Did we? I didn't.
No, because it was probably. Let me go back.
I mean, you weren't checking the trolls, but
no, it wasn't the troll. It was. I'm probably just thinking of the Free. Was it Free City? It was the other Ian Miller.
Yeah, Free City has the curio. Yeah.
Yeah, this is iceberg, separate card. That's right. So this iceberg was one that was not revealed pre-release, and the cool thing here, maybe like people newer to the game don't know, but there's like these marching soldiers all along the bottom, almost completely obscured by the text box, the text box. So you see the one guy, but there's a whole army of them like going across. So you see it on the foil full art, which is really cool. So let's see. In 10 packs, he got an exceptional foil and an ordinary foil. And there were several uniques. I just pulled out the avatar and the shield because we were showing it. But let me see. Let me show you a Modesty. Yeah. The Humble Village.
Very nice.
So, yeah, again, I'll have to get some better pictures of these. I haven't like officially revealed these just yet, but the frame on this one is really cool. I was happy with this one, and I went with like a deeper green matte, and again, just trying to go with like a more rustic scenic look. So I sent these to Modesty. I actually own several Modesty paintings, and he was loving it.
Good.
So there's a little validation there. I was like, I hope I did you justice, man, because I'm such a fan. Yeah, he was happy. So you're coming to Vegas, right?
Oh yeah. Yep, definitely coming to Vegas. Hotel's booked, everything. Gotta get my flight booked yet. I'm trying to get that done this week, but
yeah, someone told me he's from East Coast like me, and he got flight for him and his wife for like $700 and change. So like $350 each. I mean, that's very reasonable, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
So I was surprised.
Yeah. That's
go
what
silly Draco. Yeah, that's not bad at all. It's very, very reasonable.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm gonna be there. I don't know. I'm waiting to see when they open up the volunteer form for Sorcery Con, because my intent is to volunteer for them too.
Okay.
And help them with judging or whatever they need. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'm part of the planning committee with like 4 other guys: Drew Holmes, Alex, David, and this guy Carter, who's done a lot of major events for Magic the Gathering and stuff. So he's been a great advisor and consultant for us. But I predominantly focus on, like, my role is the organizing, trying to get the artists to come and negotiating the terms of that, and fundraising for that, and then the activities we're going to do with the artists at the event. So I'm not. Oh, here's a nice Elite Maddening Bells.
There you go. Yep.
So I'm not as plugged in on like everything else going on. So people will hit me up and be like, "Oh, what's the?" They'll ask me like random questions, not art related, and I was like, like I don't know, man, not my department. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I told the guys, I was like, you got to brief me on the entire, like, what is the whole event experience? What kind of formats are we having? What is the day-to-day agenda? Because I want to be able to answer those questions and help out. And because I've been trying to push hard and promote the event, like on the community group and on my Discord and the other Discords, and really trying to get tickets sold so we can have like a great large experience.
Yeah. And I think that's the real struggle. I mean, I know they're shooting for a massive tournament. My experience with massive tournaments where you're talking, let's say they get 300 players in a tournament, they tend to be very slow initially until you get things going.
Okay.
So I worry about doing that. I'm just hoping that they have the product to do some kind of draft on command. You get 8 people, a pot of 8 people, you can do a draft. But you're going to need a lot of volunteers to do that. So I don't know if they're going to be able to cover all that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Because that's what made me think of it. Have they solicited volunteers? I'm not sure where they're at with that just yet.
They haven't, because I keep asking. I keep pestering David. He's like, I'm gonna get it out.
Yeah, you know what? There was some complicating factors, because I think it's the same drill. Everyone's either sick, went to a con, or both.
Yep.
They go to a con and get sick, or they're, it's summertime, so a lot of people are doing vacations. Like, I know some of the guys were traveling; they're gone for a week or two.
And David drove back.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean you drove? You drove from Indiana to Washington?
Yeah, Washington State. Unbelievable. Yeah, so like they've just been super busy, and like we all have full-time jobs, you know, and like
Yeah.
sorcery's our passion or second job in a way, and passion hobby and all this stuff. So it's tough, and like to plan a major event like a con of this order of magnitude is a lot of work. There's a lot behind the scenes that goes into it. Like we don't have all the answers too, so we got to talk to the venue and see. Even like I'm trying to figure out like what kind of setup we can offer for the artists, and I have these ideas. Like I want it to be striking and beautiful with the signage and different stuff like that. So I'm trying to figure out like how many tables we can get for them. Like what kind of backdrop can we have if they want to display paintings, or can we have multiple tables so they can have easels with paintings?
Yeah.
And what about like Elvira, who has to travel overseas, or other artists that we might get internationally? It's challenging, right? Ooh, another elite. You got 2 elites.
I think was the elite in that pack disintegrate too? The regular
no,
elite?
the other elite that he got. He
No,
got
the one that just came out. The one that this pack you just opened. What was the elite in the pack you just opened? In the regular elite slot. The card you just sat down. Was it
the regular slot? Yeah. Good call, man. I didn't even pick up on that. That's a gnarly artwork. Alan Pollock. And this is Alan too. I think I asked him, I was like, dude, that's you, isn't it? And he was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you think I kind of had like a self-portrait that I used as a reference. That's funny, man. Oh, there's the grapple shot too.
Yeah.
He's so good. The guy is so skilled.
I still am shocked at what grapple shot sold for when you auctioned it. I really thought it was going to break at least 6 digits or 5 digits.
5 digits.
Yeah.
You know what? If I resold that right now, it absolutely would. I think like that was what was that, last year sometime? That was a while back.
Yeah, it was a while back. Yeah, but I thought for sure it would hit 5 digits, and it did. And I was like, well, you know, I think someone got an amazing piece.
Oh yeah.
They need to hold on to that. So.
Yep. Yeah, because I think you know, that was a record sale at the time, I think, or damn close. So like it was significant for the time. But this art market keeps taking legs higher as the game has more and more success, more adoption, more growth, and people really start to get into art appreciation. So, because you know, it's alpha. It's an alpha original. It's only so many.
Yeah.
So you have do you just have the one, the Aramos Mercenaries?
The Aramos is the only original painting I have. I have 2 original sketches now. I'm looking at a third or a second original alpha painting, but I just had a lot of expenses over this summer, so holding off until I can, you know, recuperate. Ooh. Hey.
The Ancient Dragon, man. This is one of the first that sold. Oh, there we go. Finally, autofocuses. One of the first artworks that sold me on the game. I think I saw the Ancient Dragon, Dan Seagrave's Seer, and Great Old One. And I was like, holy shit, what is this game?
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. So the Ancient Dragon, I think I had some embellished prints from Lindsay. There's still a few of those. She sent me... She had these at the New Zealand... Yeah, so there's like 2 of the Ancient Dragon. I'll show this really quick. This one was embellished with the smoke plumes coming out of the nostrils. So it's breathing fire. And then this one had the cracked stone element. And then there was only one left of the occult ritual with the pentagon. She titled them all Pentangle, Fume 2. So there was 2 fume concepts and the cracked stone. So these embellished prints have been really popular. I sell those directly with some of the artists. So 3 left if anyone's interested there. But yeah, that's a freaking like such an iconic looking artwork. I love that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Does this see much play? I thought Shivan Dragon immediately.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing. Like I'm hoping once we get some more dragon centric cards, maybe that card will start to see some play. So
yeah, something that probably like either reduces the casting cost or synergizes to make it even more powerful.
Yeah.
So you tap and deal 4 damage to each other unit at target location. It seems super powerful. Is the casting cost just too much?
What I would like to do, you know, the fun thing to do is like to discard it and get it in your cemetery, and then have a way to resurrect it for cheap, right?
Yeah.
Like that would be ideal to do it. That's
clever.
Yeah. So yes. I like the idea of discarding effects that let you play with your cemetery.
Sure.
So that's what I'm kind of hoping for, but.
So that's the issue then, right? It's the casting cost is why it doesn't see a lot of play.
Well, and there's just other stuff that's more efficient, you know.
Okay.
And especially with you know, fire you're looking at doing it fast. So getting to that mana cost and threshold, you know, you may have already lost at that point.
Yeah. It's kind of like the old school Magic where the fire deck's a lot about direct
you gotta
damage
burn.
and quick strike. Yeah, burner decks. He's hit. Oh, the boss troll. Curiosa game. I might have missed the troll earlier. I can't remember. Maybe someone will land a surprise when they arrive. Oh, look at that. We got a crimp.
Oh.
Crimp error.
Hey.
There's something about this Alan Pollock, man. When I did my first like alpha box break showcase with all the artists, I pulled the Moon Clan Werewolf, and it had the artist misattribution. And it was funny because I had an artist on, had an artist on the whole time, all the cameos they did. And Tony Sudlow came on, and I think it was Tony and Gadu were on at the same time. And I pulled it, and I saw it immediately, and I was like, oh my God. And like Tony's like, what's going on? And I was like, there's an artist misattribution. And he was like, oh my God. And I was like, and it's your buddy Alan did this one, you know? And it was, I forget, it was attributed to, I think it was Aussie Haikala. It was the name that was on there instead of, I was like, it says Aussie, but Alan definitely did this. Like, I've seen the original painting. He had it at a show. And this one's actually crimped as well.
Oh, man.
The Vincent Pompetti. This one's, it's harder to see because it's a lighter color, but yeah, 2 crimps. Wow. So this silly Draco's cleaning up here. And he hit a bunch of unique non-foils as well. So he had a nice streak of 10 here, and we still have more to go. I guess I'll sleeve up his crimps. The miscut guys are into this stuff, and it's an exceptional. The werewolf's just an amazing artwork.
Yes.
Pompetti. So Vincent Pompetti is a beautiful thing because like Vincent and Severin did not know each other, I believe, before Sorcery, and now they're like great friends. There's photos of. So Severin lives in his house. It looks like a castle, like out in France. Beautiful place. And there's pictures of them sitting together, signing cards, like hanging out. And they've gone to at least one event together. I think several. Some were like actual play events. Others were just like little get-togethers. Yeah. And now they're going to another one coming up. So they've become like great friends. And it seems like if you can convince one of them to come, high chances are the other's going to come too.
Yeah.
So I was super close to getting them to come to Sorcery Con Las Vegas, but the problem was it was just too short notice by the time the guys nailed down the dates, and a lot of people are struggling with getting their visa in time, like Caio was talking about. Or it's really like a big planning endeavor to travel internationally, so it's just too short notice.
Especially if you got to bring paintings or prints, or I'm sure that's a whole. Oh
yeah. Iceland's beautiful. The blues are always great.
Yeah.
So I think they really want to come to the U.S. and meet their U.S. fans and connect. So I'm pretty hopeful that we'll see a lot of international artists coming to see us next year.
Yeah, that'll be great.
All right. Are you excited about? What do you think about the artists that we've gotten to come to Sorcery Con this year?
Oh yeah, no,
excited
totally.
about this.
Yeah, I'm especially. I'm gonna say her name wrong. Shakrova, is that right?
Shakarova, Elvira.
Yeah, I'm especially looking forward to seeing her.
Yeah.
Amazing. So that's who I really want to see and talk to. I think all the others are great. I'm not a huge altar person, but I mean, like the stuff Atlas does is incredible. Like, so I'm hoping that your exposure of these people doing these altars will lead to, them getting cards in whatever set comes next.
Oh, I'd love to see that, man. I mean, Dustin Brossard seems like absolutely perfect for Sorcery. His style has that throwback 90s vibe.
He did the Poison Dagger, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. That card was awesome.
Yep. And and like Atlas, I think his style has like more of like it's just so refined, and it's like more of a modern looking type of vibe. Like the landscapes I think are beautiful and could work. The spell cards, it really depends. Like Eric's got such a specific taste and like preference for what he wants to get in the game, but I think he's like so talented and skilled that he could like tailor it. Just like Caio, he's typecast as like a landscape guy, but he can do so much more, right? I mean, it's just a matter of what do you want. I mean, Atlas can do it all. I'm just so blown away by his talent, and I'd love him to get the opportunity. And hey, Vivian, you know.
Oh yeah.
Imagine
yeah.
having Vivian and Caio. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And then we have Andrina Jardim as the other artist I've been working with lately. And her style is very different. I don't know if it would have to be like a special kind of set for thematic set for Sorcery, I think, with her style. It's just so different.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Steven had 10.
But, you know, just in terms of Gen Con, what I'm thinking for next year, I hope they get a bigger booth. I mean, my hope is that next year they get a bigger booth because Gen Con sees the turnout that they had.
Yep.
That's what I'm really hoping for is the bigger booth, more events. And I would love if they could actually do drafts on demand. Now, I don't know if they're going to have the product for that, but the 64 pod or the 64 player limited events we had, they were great, but a lot of people, you know, if you could just launch when you got 8 people, just go.
Okay.
You know, you get more exposure. You don't have all these people, but that takes more people. You need more volunteers to manage all that, check the times. So
Gotcha. So I didn't know what you meant by on demand at first, but you mean like you can just sit down at a table any time of day and just
like you
jump
show
into a
up
game.
at the sorcery area, you say, hey, I want to play in a draft. As soon as they got 8 people, we go.
Yeah.
You just
That's
boom,
cool.
boom, boom, you know, whenever, you know, maybe your event canceled, because events get canceled every now and then. The other problem with doing drafts on demand is you have people show up at 2 a.m. in the morning. So you got to kind of say,
bound
well,
the hours and you say
midnight.
like, yeah, exactly. Right. So I stopped on this one. I sold this original painting to a guy. I hand delivered it to him in Baltimore at the event. So did you get a chance to see? I had a bunch of original paintings that I brought. I sold to Sir Tristan. I got a real nice picture. I love that picture. I posted it recently with Mike and his family. His wife was like so nice, and his daughter was like amazing. She was like working the room, like leaving her parents, going up to like a booth and talking to an artist for like 20 minutes, just like peppering them with questions. It was so cool. I was telling everyone, I was like, this is going to be my first employee at the Collector Arthouse. This girl's like a phenom, some kind of prodigy. She can talk your ear off. And she's like, I don't know, like somewhere in the 8 to 10-year-old range, something like that, pretty young.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm really curious to see if we see more from Santiago Caruso. We only saw like 2 or 3.
I think Santiago was
there we go.
Oh, there you go.
Unique.
Nice.
Mother Nature, beautiful.
Yeah.
The Atlas Mother Nature was like a real awesome one. Altar we had recently.
I think it was Santiago who was attributed on the Moon Clan werewolf. Now that
you're right. Yeah.
It was Santiago.
It was him. Yep,
yeah.
Good call. Yeah. And we knew because he only has Twist of Fate and the Phantasmal Shade. I think are those the only 2 that made it through to Alpha? I know he did like at least 5 or 6 commissions, but only a couple.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't have all the card artists to memorize.
I only know it by artist. It's funny. I couldn't tell you the element types or like anything. Like the card effects, like I often remember great old one. There's a roller line on this one, unfortunately, but otherwise great card to hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. I always remember the artist connection aspect of it and how many each had and that kind of thing. Oh, the game effect is what I was thinking of. I often remember what it was as a sample card more so than what it became in Alpha.
Yeah.
Because I spent so much time with those early playtests and sample cards, like until the game finally came out.
Man.
There we go. This one has the same like grid line kind of in the same spot, but the Queen of Midland. What do you think of the Guinevere, the Queen Guinevere? I love that Severin got another queen. You know, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that she has all 4 elements in her casting cost.
Oh, okay.
So I think that'll be the interesting thing. That's to introduce multi-element cards already. I thought they might wait another set before they did that.
Yep.
So to get them this early, you know, I think it'll be interesting to see how it impacts play. So.
Yeah, I know. I was really surprised they leaned into four elements that much. Do you think so? I think you made a comment about that in my Discord yesterday, and I said I think it's a building block for multiplayer format. Do you think that's
I
valid
think
or
I think it's a building block for. I think they want people playing four elements. I think they
Okay.
they want people to, or three elements even. I think they want to really expand upon, people that are using those 3 and 4 element decks.
Yeah. I think so like with this two-headed dragon concept, it's team based, 2 versus 2, and it would seem to me that like having a card that has the versatility to offer any of the four threshold
Yeah,
element types would be like tremendously beneficial in that format because it help
yeah,
you or your partner.
yeah.
And there's a lot of interesting synergies you can kind of angle towards. So I would imagine those guys are pretty pumped that they lean so much into that. Maybe some of them were playtesters and started saying like, "Hey, this is working two-headed dragon." I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Death Speaker. I have a couple artist proofs coming from Tony Sudlow sooner or later. It's funny. He always reaches out and he's like, Mike, I'll be there. I'm going to ship it Tuesday. And then like he'll hit me up like Tuesday and he'll be like, 2 more days. Thursday I'll ship it. And then like Thursday comes, he'll be like, maybe Monday. So I don't know. We might be inching closer. I know he's a busy guy and he's got a lot going on. But
Drums.
yeah. So he had a unique and elite so far. That's pretty hot.
So I think it is interesting that Death Speaker just totally fell off at Gen Con this year. I mean, he just wasn't used at all. And last year
really?
he dominated. He dominated Gen Con year before last.
Uh-huh.
And then this year just didn't even show up hardly at all.
Wow.
So yeah.
It's more top loaders. Yeah, it's interesting. Like again, like in that interview with Spencer and Rude and Kevmo, they were saying about how like each of these, the meta is still always getting fleshed out, always evolving, always changing. 400 cards early days, and like at each of these tournaments, we're seeing a different elemental avatar seem to win each one. And
Yeah.
it's like those decks that come with like something new that people haven't seen on Tabletop Simulator or at their LGS. Those are kind of like the sleepers that are sometimes having great success at these events.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I mean, if you're, everyone's so focused on the Roots meta right now. They're trying to prepare for Roots. And then if you're the person who's playing something else, they're just not ready for you.
Yeah, it's like, and it makes perfect sense, right? Like if you know that this one, 2, or 3 deck archetypes are getting all the play, you're going to design a deck that counters that, and hopefully has enough versatility beyond that to handle other decks that might be a surprise. And if you could counter the top deck, you're gonna probably at least place fairly highly or win a bunch of games against that particular deck, and then again, hopefully do well enough to take it the distance. And the prize support has been phenomenal too. I love that people are commissioning paintings.
Yeah.
It's such a great win-win, because like the artist gets more exposure and visibility, and then the fan gets a precious one-of-one original painting. And they start to appreciate the art, probably more so within and beyond the game.
Oh,
which is great.
Yeah. No, and I think that, I've never bought art in terms of a related to a TCG or a board game. I bought art just at Gen Con, just from artists, that I enjoyed or that I liked. But it was never game focused. So this is kind of a new thing for me.
So many people have told me that, man. They have that same experience where like they really weren't into it that much before. Even you made the comment about altars, like even myself, I wasn't a big altar guy before either, but now I'm just like so blown away. And maybe it's because it's a game that I'm really passionate about and care about, but I love seeing like the new takes from these super talented artists on like art that's already amazing. Like how could it get better than the original, right? But then like they reimagine it in their own way. It's really like fun and exciting, especially when we had these lulls and we're like, holy shit, we got to wait a whole year to see new art. But then we get to see it like every week, every day with these auctions and these new artists emerging.
Now they've said they're not doing artist proofs for Arthurian Legends. Is that right? Or was that?
No, I don't think that's true. I think they will do it.
You think? Okay.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they didn't. That would be such a disservice and off-brand for this project, like, and it's such I think you have to do it for the artist's sake because it's so difficult for them to monetize their work for a full year in between sets. Like, yes, they get paid for the commission to do the original painting, and then like they're wholly dependent on getting creative with prints, embellished prints, like if you don't have the artist proofs are like a real like valuable bridge for them to have income earning potential in that lull between set releases. Because think about it, like some of these paintings, and some they did in 2018, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, they weren't used in alpha. They can't show it to anybody. Some they were shown in like early playtest cards, so they can't monetize that in any way for many, many years. And then if like Eric doesn't use it in the game, what do you do then? And like it kind of it's a missed opportunity. So I think the artist proofs they have to do that. It'd be a terrible disservice if they didn't. And I think so. It's probably just a matter of timing. The thing is, like when Alpha came out, and I don't know, it might have just been because it's early days and a small team. They didn't get their artist proofs until like I want to say 6 months or many months after release. It took forever, which surprised me because I would think they're pretty easy to print. You know, you just print it with a blank back. You know, and do it with the same like core main production
Well, but you
run.
got to use a different card stock because you need that square card stock. So
you know, I don't know if that's a different stock. Or a different cut technique. I think.
But I mean, either one, right? Sounds like it's going to add a complexity that is problematic.
Yeah, and they also, it seemed that they packaged it. You know, we saw the pictures. They had like stacks and stacks of these proofs on Eric's office, and then they gave it to the artist in an alpha binder. So there's some manual logistics to prep it and then to ship it out to the artists. Yeah. So we'll see how they handle that for Arthurian Legends, but. Yeah, I think that's going to be a massive draw for Arthurian because the artwork's phenomenal. Like all the releases we've seen have been like next level. And then I think there's going to be an impact on Alpha too. People will be reminded there's only 29 copies out in the wild and they're extremely rare.
Yeah. Well, I do wonder, you know, given the way the box for Arthurian Legends looks, you know, the way it looks with the gold leafing, I'm wondering if there might be a curio that has gold leafing on it.
You're talking about like for Elvira's Sir Tristan?
Well, like actual gold leafing. Like they actually do gold leafing on a card. I don't know if they can do that and put it in a pack, but I think it'd be neat. You know?
And some of the embellished print projects I did, the artist did gold leaf. Like Severin did that with her first Philosopher's Stone embellished print that we did. And when Eric allowed Elvira came on my channel for an interview, and she asked him if we can reveal one of her paintings, and he said you could do one of the nights, you know. Or actually, maybe I reached out to him because I remember having this conversation with him, and he said one of the nights. So that was our first indication that she did several nights or more than one. And then, what he also said is that those were going to be some kind of special chase card in the set. And he said that the gilded border will have some kind of special foiling that'll be like really nice, you know, and like he was trying to come up with a technique that something fall down. Oh. Just a box of prints. I was worried it was a painting. He said that like he was working on some kind of special foil treatment technique that mirrored the gilding that she did as closely as possible. So that's exactly like you're saying. The problem with gold leaf is that's like I don't know how you would do that in a printing manufacturing capacity.
I just don't know if it's possible. It'd be cool though, but
with quality control. I mean, maybe there's some special dye or something they can inject to like have like a raised border too, and I don't know. It'd get interesting too with all this like CT scanning shit going on. Like, is that really gonna like run a risk of figuring out what's in the packs and sealed packs? But I think there's going to be something just mind-blowing that's in this set of that nature. Sure. I had a chance to buy this painting from Dan. He had this and the Gilded Aegis left, like when I finally reached out to him, and I went with the Aegis, which I'm happy with. I love the Aegis. This is pretty cool, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Porsche Hammer. It had a different name at the time. I forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, these relics that are like trinkets and stuff. I know like early on there's the Ring of Morgan was one from Severin. It's a relic. It's a ring. So it's item-based stuff that are relics. So I think we're going to see the ring in Arthurian Legends. It just seems perfectly fitting. It'll probably be the Ring of Morgan because we've seen, I think, has there been a Morgan link? It's just obvious that that's like such a fundamental character in Arthurian Legends that there'll probably be a Morgan character and then a ring to match it. Yeah. And then I don't know. She had like there's like a necklace painting because like early on, when I bought it's covered up by the Gadu, but behind it is the predestination or the Kythera mechanism. She had on her order list like a necklace of Neom or something was called like that. So it was like a necklace with like a amulet type thing on it. So I think we're gonna see more jewelry type stuff and amulets and rings and necklaces. It'd be interesting how that works.
Yeah. Of course, you'll see Excalibur and Merlin's staff and probably stuff like that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a very heavy artifact set in general. So. Oh
yeah, makes sense. Yep.
Yeah.
And Beast too. We saw the Beast from Alan. Highland Falconer, like that art. Everyone did all right except Ryu Robbie here with the last 9. He only got the one exceptional foil. He only had 9 packs. So the shuffling worked for the most part. So let's reflect back. We had the unique Mother Nature. We had several elites, I want to say.
Yeah,
a lot of elites in this box.
Yeah, your foil spread was pretty nice. You didn't hit, but there were no major unique hits. No cores, no stone, no Frazettas.
Of non-foils, right.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting to have none of them at all. And it didn't feel like it wasn't a sight box. The alpha does tend to have those sight boxes, and that didn't seem to happen. So
Yep, you never know. I mean, I've had a hell of a run of luck in some of these breaks, so I was due to hit like a average-ish box.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, a foil unique's nothing to sneeze at, right? Like that.
Any foil unique. I mean, some people are talking about, what do you think about these beta cards that are like, these beta foils are like less than $1, some of them, which is like, they're so hard to pull. Yeah. So I commented to whoever made this comment. I think that was in the Collector Arthouse Discord too. Someone was like, "Oh, I'm buying up these foils." Yeah, it was Knife. This guy Knife that's in the Discord, and he's like, "I'm just buying them up because they're like 80 cents, for like a foil, and they're like impossible to pull." So I was like, I think that the beta was very heavily printed, but also the foils are probably undervalued at less than $1. I mean, less than $1, like you could buy 200 of them for like $150. Why not just take a flyer? If you enjoy the foils, great. If not, I mean, if they don't never appreciate in value as a speculative investment, if you're on that angle, who cares? It's $150,
Well, and I think some of it comes down to player base. Once you have a larger player base, some people are just going to want to get this or that foil because they like the art. So these foils we're seeing that are less than $1, I think a lot of that has to do with player base. We just got to grow the player base, get more people in that want to have the cards, and then you might not see that problem. Now, of course, you're still going to have bulk foils, cards that just don't see play. But, that happens with any card game. The real question is if 20 years from now you and I are talking about sorcery, those beta foils are not going to be $1.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, like, so it's the price is reflective of probably more supply than demand because the game is early stages and new. Yes. But like to your point, hopefully that'll change if the game has success and grows. I think right now it was probably pretty predictable. Like the foil prices were going nuts. And, a little creaky there. The foil prices were going nuts early on when there was great excitement, but a lot of people early on were chasing foil sets. So they either acquired and completed those sets or like aspects of it, right? So that the supply side, there's less people chasing it. So obviously less demand, price is going to decline, less competition for those items. And then, or they just gave up because it's so freaking hard to get all the foils. And then it became more niche. And even with like stuff like this with like alters or artist proofs, a lot of people will be like, oh, damn, like I play with grapple shot like every time, right? So I want to get a grapple shot artist proof. And then like I want a grapple shot sample card. I'd love to get a grapple shot alter. People go for these like category completions, which is pretty interesting dynamic of the market. How you doing on time? I forgot that, like I said, on Facebook.
I'm
Okay.
good. So
Yeah, we could go another, I don't know, 15 minutes or whatever you want to do. But I forgot that I said, I want to know, like a lot of people after Gen Con, it's been great. I think there's probably been 100 to 200 people to join the Facebook community group. We're at about close to 4,200. So there's a lot of new people coming in, as we would expect, which is great. So I'm thinking about maybe, I'd love to do it weekly if I could. It's kind of my schedule's volatile, but I want to have like an open Q&A for new and old people, like people that have been around. We could talk about the market or whatever interests people, but for new people, we could have open Q&A with various content creators to help them out and ingratiate them to the community. So with that said, anybody in chat, please like and subscribe to the video. And Lord of Itza has his own channel too. He's always in uniform like this with the purple shirt and tie.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a wealth of knowledge on the gameplay side. So we want to answer any questions that the chat has. Enter that. I think we would, if anyone's watching on my Facebook Collector Art House page, we would see it, or the Collector Art House YouTube live stream right now. So let's see. Did we miss any questions? Have you been watching the chat at all?
I mean, I've kind of had it up, but I've kind of had to be looking down to see it. So,
I know. I'm so bad about following chat. I try to glance.
We actually had a pretty good conversation. So
yeah, I just get rambling and talking too much, and then I glance at chat here and there, but I miss so much. So yeah, if you guys have questions, hit it up in the chat here. Cosmic says it's awesome to see you live. Yeah, you're doing great, man. It is. I appreciate you coming on because you have so much great information and insights on the game.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. You know, just everyone just remember, take everything I say with a grain of salt because I'm just some dude.
I like that. Like you know how to play the game very well, which is valuable because that complements my deficiencies. But you also have you also cover an interesting gamut of stuff on your channel with talking about market dynamics and stuff that like
I have a lot of interest in the market. I'm not, you know, there's obviously the big debate in TCGs. Are these an investment or anything like that? I don't want to deal with that type of stuff, but
yeah,
I think the idea of the game having value so that when you're ready to move on, you can divest it and then move on to whatever new hobby you want to do. I think that's really important to me. So that's why I talk about the market stuff. You know,
yeah. No,
if you're looking to move on to a new game where you're going to blow a bunch of money, you might want to wait. Market's kind of in a bad place. Yeah. There's all this like cynicism and like infighting player versus collector versus speculator. Like I don't care what people's interest angle is. To each their own. Have fun. Like, and I like all of the above personally. So nothing wrong with it, right? At all. But like to your point, it's a valuable one. Like you want your stuff to have value because it is an asset class for stuff. Like your interests evolve and change over time. Like right now you might be into alters or artist proofs or original paintings or like foils, right? Collecting any of the above, right? And then it might evolve and you're like, oh shit, like this new altarist came in and I really like this style better than like some stuff I've had for a while. So this happens in art collecting all the time. That people want to rotate their collection, right? So you want your painting to retain value or increase in value because now one that you've owned and enjoyed for a year or whatever, you can sell to somebody else who's going to love it and own it for the first time, be super excited, and you can buy something exciting from Arthurian Legends, right? So we see that all the time. And like I had the same experience. I had a bunch of beta, like, you know, a few cases or so. And like I'm pretty freaking addicted to buying paintings. So I was like, dude, like these paintings come up and I was like, oh man, I gotta have that one. So I sold like several boxes of beta and it had, you know, a couple $100 a pop. Adds up quick. You sell a case and you're on your way towards a painting or like a artist proof you love, you know? So you want it to have value, and it's not speculative investment per se. It's just that value becomes an asset for you to get into other stuff you're interested in. Exactly. Yeah. And that's where I
sell it and go to a convention.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Sell it. You got to sometimes fund those things. So
yeah.
I just want to say, you know, I love Call Me Dragonettes. I just saw that silly Draco. I can respond to that.
Yeah.
Did you ever track down your sample card? That he was trying to get a sample card of that. Did he ever find it?
He wants to get the Dragonettes artist proof from Jeff Easley, I think.
Oh, is that what it is?
And probably the sample too. Yeah, both.
I think he was trying to track down a sample because I feel like it was him that I keep seeing posts for that. So
yeah, he loves the Dragonettes. And yeah, I've been working with Easley lately, and I haven't asked him for specific cards in particular, just kind of like do your own thing. I do that with all the artists. I really don't steer them towards anything specific. I want them to, you know, come up with their own ideas that they're excited about and express their own creative ideas. But yeah, like he's saying, I failed him here in the chat. Like I guess I'll have to reach out to Jeff and say, because
you got to buy more of those.
Couple more.
Yeah, you got to buy more of those sample packs and open them up.
Yeah, I know, for samples, but for the artist proofs, I could ask him to do a Dragonette specifically, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. He's doing like a couple at a time, and they've been great. I mean, all his stuff is just awesome. He does great dragons.
Oh yeah,
kinds of things.
And you know, I'm really looking forward to see, you know, how many new artists we get for Arthurian Legends too.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of artists I want to see, you know, from other TCGs. So it'll be interesting to see if we get any of those.
Okay. Yeah, we will. So is the mini set on ice? Jamie says. What does that mean? Is it not happening?
Well, I think they're talking about, is Mr. Beard's set coming out or not? And they haven't said anything about it. I think they're so tied up with Arthurian Legends, and then they had GenCon happen all of a sudden and had to reorganize for that. I mean, I'm sure they're going to do it. You're not going to let anything you've commissioned him to do sit on ice, but you know, the question is timing. And getting those into the production line and all that stuff. And not to mention, I think that mini set, it's going to be very hard to decide how to sell that. You know, because are you going to put it into, it's not big enough to make booster boxes.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? You know, that's my big question, is how they're going to distribute that. My guess is it might be something on their the cardio site where you can just buy it directly, maybe as a set. But that's just my guess.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because this guy Guillami, who was at GenCon, had this like great video segment that he posted in the community group, where he was talking with Simon for a while, and he was asking him questions, and it was interesting. Like, I think he said they did not know how or when they were going to sell the binders that they were showcasing. It's always weird. They keep doing this. Like, they get us all excited about a product, and they're like, we don't know like how you're gonna get it or when or how much it costs. I'm like, damn it, like just tell us.
Yeah.
But it sounded, I thought somehow I picked up the impression that they might sell that direct, or you know, either direct. Like, I thought he made a comment like we might sell it through our some kind of website or our website or something like that. So I don't know. I thought they would do it through Cardi.io, who I think is doing the Dust Rewards program.
Yeah, they
outsource that to somebody, because this is a team of 9-10 people. Like, you don't want to deal with like logistics fulfillment. Like, focus on marketing, going to events, showcasing it at these big conventions. You know, the game designers and Eric doing the art stuff do their thing, but unless they're going to hire some logistics people, that just seems like a nightmare to have to try to handle that and deal with the customer service aspects. But yeah, we want to know, like, when and how are we getting those binders? How much are they? And I think my point in all that is, however they decide to do the binders, I would imagine maybe they do the same with the mini set, or they could offer it in theory through distribution, I guess, and let stores buy it and distribute it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. There's all sorts of ways they could do it. I wondered if they tried to do it, if there was a way to make some of the cards ordinary, some of them exceptionals, you know, and if you could build a pre-con type deck with just those cards and maybe some additional sites. And maybe that's how you
Griff
sell
here
it,
says,
you know.
he suspects it might be a mini set.
There you go.
Pre-cons.
Yeah. So that could be something too, you know, where you have it somehow incorporated into those. You know, it'll be interesting to see how they use it. And I know everyone's excited to get those cards, because honestly, if we're going to get more affinity with dragons, it's probably going to come through that set.
Sure.
So, you know, we people want those cards to play the dragons. So
yeah, and I think it's interesting that I think the draft kit, you know, is evidence that every SKU or product offering doesn't have to have the element of collectability, because this isn't going to be like a high value collectible thing. It's like very specifically for gameplay.
Yes.
And like, sure, like, I guess, well, on the other hand, if they offer the foil version through the Dust Store, those will have some value depending on how limited it is. But maybe we weren't thinking about the mini set correctly, with it having to have a collectible nature of it. Like, sure he could have, and it might be the same thing. Maybe there's variants that are offered through the Dust Store, but otherwise it's like a kit like this or comparable where like anyone can get the core cards, right? Affordably.
Or even curios. You drop them
Yeah.
into curio as curios in future sets or whatever.
Yeah, that would be wild.
Yeah.
I think they're going to make them, if they're functionally, I expect them to be functionally playable cards, which means they have to make them accessible, which means they have to come like in an affordable SKU like this. And then, but there'll be some aspect of collectability through a variant that's maybe very elaborate. Foil treatment. I'd love to see jumbo cards or something, because like Ed's paintings are just like phenomenally detailed. There's like the one, I think it's the Dragon Lord Lair. And I have this large, I have this large like Jeekly canvas that he did. I think it's the first of his series that he very nicely gave me, and it's like there's so much elaborate detail. It's really wild. And off to the right, there's like this little snowman that he put in there. And it was funny because like on his Patreon, as he was doing, he's like, there's no way this is going to show up on the card, but this is like the level of quality and detail I do on all my work. He's like, I don't care. I'm going all out for these paintings. And there's going to be like all these little Easter egg intricacies. But I think like Eric being Eric, he probably will want some form factor to showcase it in its full capacity and potential, right? So maybe I'd love to see like a jumbo card or something. I know those are like mixed interest, mixed popularity, but with such a prominent art project of a game, I think he should lean into stuff like that. And, you know, playmats can do it. Jumbo cards, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
I'm going to have to disappoint
Dan.
Dan's asking what my favorite minion is. I'm going to have to disappoint him. Because it ain't frogs. Where is it at? Well, it's up on the wall. There's the sketch. I can't find.
Yeah.
Well, that's scary. Where'd the original painting go? Oh, there it is. I'm still in the process of hanging things, so you know, you got to get them all up there. So
that's a great painting.
Yeah. So and the reason I bought this is because I like the discard effect, and I'm really hoping that we see more of that.
That's fun. Yeah.
I'd really like to see some play in the cemetery and using discard effects. And I think Eremos Mercenaries will play heavily into that. So
yeah, did you frame that? That's a nice frame you got on there.
Did
you frame that yourself?
Yeah, I took it to a local framer here in Columbus, Indiana, and they did it. And
that's nicely done.
The guy's been in business for 35 years. So
yeah,
he knew what he was doing. Yeah,
I got a bunch with like a matted border, and I feel like I overdid it. I have too many with mats, and it takes a lot of wall space, and it adds like a nice, like interesting dynamic. But I also like how you did it, where like the frame goes right up to the painting. I think that looks great in a lot of cases, and it really accents it appropriately.
Yeah. So my significant other is an art teacher, so she helps me with this stuff. So we do traveling to go to art museums. We went to Paris in 2019 and did the whole thing and all that. So
beautiful.
So next we're planning to go probably to Norway to the National Gallery there. They have a lot of Edvard Munch paintings. So yeah.
Awesome. That's sweet.
Yeah.
Are you going? You're not going to Spiel, right? You probably can't do both, like me.
I can't do Spiel. I got kids, and it just ain't gonna happen. So not after GenCon, and then I had to beg to get Sorcery Con too. So
I hear you, man. Yeah, and when they announced like this Modesti and Francesca Berald, like immediately I like went to the wife and I was like, I might have to do like a weekend trip to Italy. She's like, well, you gonna go there for like 2 days? And I was like, Modesti's gonna be there.
that's a crime though. You can't go there for 2 days.
Yeah, I know. And I got family there, so they'd probably be pissed, They'd be like, you didn't come see me? But yeah, it'd have to be like a week, and it's just so hard, like with because I'm going to the IX Art Show in Pennsylvania to see Elvira and Jeff and Drew, and then Vegas the week later. Like that's a lot all at once. I'm hoping just stay healthy.
Yep.
And fully enjoy it.
Yep.
But yeah, what other questions do we have here, guys? We got Green Knight is going to be my chase if it gets printed. There's definitely got to be a Green Knight in Arthurian lore.
The real question is how many Knights are they going to do? I mean, when you look at the Arthurian tales, I mean, there are so many. So how many are they going to print? Are we going to get Boars and obviously we'll get Lancelot. We know we're getting Galahad. We know we're getting Percival, but how many of the other ones are we going to get? So
yeah. I mean, yeah, the knights are. I think we're gonna see. So like in the lore, there's like 3 colors. There's green, black, and I always forget what the other one is. And I haven't read like all the lore stories, but I know they vary too. But I know
that's
there's
the
a
problem
green.
is, they vary so much,
Oh,
but
maybe a white knight. And then
Yeah.
like, how do you use these knights like in the gameplay? Because those aren't. This isn't like a color element based game. It's like a green knight. Is that Earth or something? Or and then black would be what? I don't.
Yeah. I mean, typically most of the mortals have been tied to Earth, right? So,
Yeah.
are they going to tie a lot of them to Earth? I don't know that you can do that. So,
Sure. Yeah. It's. I'm very anxious to see more from Arthurian legends and some of these paintings that we've known. Like we mentioned, the Ring of Morgan. That we've known about for so long, and it seems so thematically fitting. And we've even seen an early test version of it. Like, so how has the game mechanic changed? Or Holy Grail, we've seen a version of that where you have to go to the middle of the realm, and there is no middle per se now with the revised 5x4 dimension, and you gain like 20 life, right? But I don't know. It's on the box. Is it only going to be on the box, or is there going to be a card for it? I'm very anxious to see.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I love that painting too. I've been trying to get that painting for years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. Like I talked to Tony was working with this lady to sell his art at that time, and I was talking to her the same night that the painting was sold, and I was kind of hesitating on it. I was like, should I get it? And then like I reached back out to her, and she was like, someone just bought it, and I was like, so I've always regretted it, and like I know who owns it, and I've been chasing it for years, but can't have them all,
No, you can't. No, this is definitely not a Pokemon.
But lesson learned, if you really love something and it speaks to you, find a way. Everything's opportunity cost. Sell off a box of alpha and get yourself a painting or artist proof or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your setup's looking good there, man. It's really coming together.
Thank you. Yeah, just try to work on it a little bit and switch some things out here and there, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, like I said, and I'm just doing this for fun. So that's all this is to me.
Well, you're pretty dedicated. You're traveling a lot. Is that normal for you? Do you go to a lot of conventions?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I really enjoy conventions in general. Obviously, now that I'm older, typically I limit it to, stuff here in the Midwest, Origins, GenCon, that type of thing.
Origins,
yeah, but I don't like really, I really want to get up to GaryCon, but I haven't done that one in a while. So,
yeah, Sudlow and Easley and Doug Kovacs are frequent visitors there, from what I understand. A lot of the TSR artists, so you get Larry Elmore and the guys I just mentioned. Are some of the big attractions.
Yeah,
yeah. Maybe Sudlow. I'd love for him to come out to Gen Con. That's another potential. See if he can swing it.
Well, and that's the thing with Gen Con. It's just a question of
Sorcery Con. Sorry.
Okay. Sorcery. Yeah. With Gen Con, you're dealing with the thing, but I mean, with what Eric's Curiosa did this year with Melissa, if they can just have artists come and show up at the booth, that'd be great. If they get a bigger booth and 2 or 3 artists come along with them, I think that'd be awesome. So
I suspect that's what they'll do for Spiel. It's a matter of how many can they fit, how big is the booth, how many artists can they fit. It sounds like the one they had at Gen Con was modest size, so probably one artist was appropriate.
I think it was the smallest available space. Like I think literally they had because that was all they would give them.
Sure.
But I really think given the turnout and given the line, I think they'll be like, okay, guys, we're going to get you some more space. Now, space is a big premium there at Gen Con. I actually this year took some time on Sunday to talk to some of the dealers, and they're like, we come here for exposure. We lose money on this, which I think is crazy.
Yeah. I had that conversation with the Bearish guys because we got to charge for a table for vendors at the event. And, when you have like a few hundred people come out, we're hoping it'll be like 300, 400, 500 people when all the tickets are said and done. So like pretty good turnout. But will they sell enough product to cover a few grand in travel costs and, food and everything that's there? Maybe, maybe not. But the exposure is valuable, especially at this early stage of Sorcery and establishing yourself as like one of the premier acrylic case providers and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
There's always like a tangible value proposition, immediate ROI versus brand awareness,
Yeah.
And same thing for the artist too. Like we'll pay, we're helping with hotel and airfare, and who knows? Like it's like kind of like we were a little worried. Like if you have 10 artists, that's an opportunity cost. Every time you add another artist, that's opportunity cost theoretically lost from finite budgets of attendees, spreading across all those artists. But again, it's that exposure element, especially for the newer artists like Elvira Shakarova making a first appearance at a big event, and like those types, like versus the established Magic artists that already have like a massive built-in fan base. Just Elvira showing up is going to be tremendous for her to meet so many fans and make that personal connection.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yep. Yeah, people are saying having Melissa there was genius. I mean, that was an obvious call because it's a known commodity, like alpha Magic artists. A lot of Magic types go to Sorcery, so it's a pull to that booth. Like, even if like you never heard of Sorcery, you're like, oh, Melissa Benson's sitting there. Let me go see why she's over there and what she's doing. You know, so it was definitely a good call in that regard.
And while I was doing line management, I was shouting that her name I mentioned all that she was there. Because it wasn't, they didn't publish it. They didn't announce it. It was just, she's here. Those of us involved in the Sorcery community knew she was going to be there, but no one else did. So, I did do a little bit of shouting the word out that she was there to see if we could get some of those Magic players to come over and check out the game and then convert.
And something, maybe that's a lesson learned with like signage. Like I would have had a huge banner that said Melissa Benson, like a picture of like one of her major Sorcery pieces. But again, like they were awarded the booth on short notice. So it was still I was really impressed with. I love those. A common thing you see with artists at these shows is those banners that stretch out, and you have like the large art. Like the Sorcerer painting they had was very striking. I'm sure that was a big draw for people.
Well, I actually carried the banners myself. So the banners somehow ended up at the booth, and they were supposed to end up at the stadium. So I had to carry those all the way there.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun.
This is a good point. Like, again, that marriage of wargaming. Like, I see a lot of people with the miniatures. They paint the miniatures and they do the wargaming. What do they call that?
Miniature tabletop gaming. That's what I do. That's primarily what I do.
Oh, that's you? Okay.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Warhammer 5000 or something?
Warhammer 40K is the big
40K.
sci-fi one. They just re-announced Warhammer Old World, which is what Warhammer Fantasy was. That's primarily what I did. And then they have Age of Sigmar, where basically they killed Warhammer Fantasy and made Age of Sigmar, but now they're bringing back Warhammer Fantasy and calling it Old World. So,
Okay. Yeah. So, like, that's, again, like, going to these shows like this exposes those types into this. And I've seen a lot of that wargaming crossover, like yourself and others, like Angerworm, we mentioned earlier. He's big into that and goes to conventions for that, and now is into Sorcery. So it definitely appeals to that market. Now it's a matter of exposure to those markets. And they'll get that again at Spiel. And then I think it's complemented and supplemented by these community-run events that are specifically about Sorcery. So in talking with Jurgen and Sophie like Friday night, we were talking about how you go to these, like the GenCon, the Spiels, that's for reaching new players and your existing community, but you go to like a community-run convention, and that is for that intimate, like, meet all these people you've met on social media, on Facebook, on Discord, and play the game. And it's all Sorcery. It's all about Sorcery. It's not Sorcery and a million other games, right? Yeah.
And that is the problem with like Gen Con, right? I mean, you want to do so many things, and even in the 4 days, you don't have enough time to do everything. So you're already picking and choosing, and then if you're trying to dedicate a lot of time to Sorcery, you're going to miss out on a lot of the things you could have done at Gen Con. Which I know you didn't come this year, but you really should. One year, come on over. And
I've never been there, and like I've always had this perception that it's more like a player-based draw and not so much like a art enthusiast collector type thing. But I mean, dude, I'd love to, like, if they would have me volunteer to work at the booth and talk to people interested in sorcery, because I have so much knowledge on the background of it. And, like, you could have, like, a guy like Drew who knows how to play the game, or a person like yourself, talk and sell people on the gameplay aspect. Like, I know all about the early development, the history, the art aspect, and I could talk people's ear off about the development of all the art curation and why that's so great. And then you have Simon and Chase, of course, that are company insiders and know inside stuff, or, like, you know, what they're trying to sell about it. It'd be really fun.
Yeah. Well, they also have that huge, I mean, they have a huge art exhibitor area. So
Yeah,
I think you might actually enjoy that, and you could spend time there and talk to those folks. But you're right. Yeah, it is about board gaming and card gaming and tabletop gaming. It is really, that is the big focus. So, but you know, that's a great time too to see those games, because you have to remember all those games need artists.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. Yep. Artist Alley. So let's see. Old World Thursday. What is he saying? I did Old World Thursday and Sorcery. What's Old World?
Old World is Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's Warhammer
Eric
Fantasy.
Orth. He's been making the rounds too. There's like this core group of guys that go to all the cons. He was at Baltimore. You were at Baltimore.
Orth's my good friend. He literally lives 45 minutes from me.
That's right. Yeah, you guys are buddies. That's awesome.
Yeah. He got best general, by the way, in that tournament. So.
Nice. Yeah, he seems like a cool guy. I only had a few minutes to talk to him at Baltimore. That's the challenge of these events. There's so many people that you kind of just know of, and you just, and the artists too, trying to engage with everybody. It's too short. It's always too short, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sure is. Especially when you got 10 million things you want to do. So
yeah, I'll give serious consideration to that one. But I got to get to Europe somehow, some way.
Sure.
And then we'll see. I think the Sorcery Con is going to be an annual event. I think Drew's thing down in Texas, the March of the Mortals, is going to grow. Yeah. So there's going to be like so much like enticing and things we're really going to want to go to, and you figure out like how do you prioritize one over the other. It's going to be really tough.
Yeah, and that is the problem when there are so many options. You know, you got to make those tough calls, so can't afford them all.
Yeah, so with Sorcery Con, man, like I say, there's 8 artists, highly probable more to come. I think like the timing's pretty nice. We're going to be like really in the throes of intense excitement around the release of Arthurian Legends. Yeah. This event happens about 3-4 weeks later, and it's people are going to be buzzing. Like when these releases happen, alpha and beta, like on the community Facebook group page, people are just posting fiendishly. This happened like all through GenCon weekend too. People are posting pics, videos, everything constantly, and then doing like content creation. That's going to be like on a whole nother level for Arthurian Legends release, because we're going to discover all of the cards. And then the enduring element, once all of that is discovered, is curios are going to start popping up, or chase card. And actually it says right on the box that there are curios in Arthurian Legends. So that's going to take some time to discover. It's going to be nice. Hopefully people plan ahead and go.
That'll be the first major play event. So we're probably going to see some new decks, some new, some serious new play style that's going to dominate something. So
yeah, what do you think about? So is that enough time, like 3-4 weeks after release, for people to start working out like how to incorporate these AL cards?
I mean, there will be some. You'll get some new decks, but given the depth of play that we've seen with, granted, alpha and beta, they're huge sets. They're much larger than AL. That's still a whole lot of cards to incorporate, though, and to interact with in the beta set. So I don't think that's going to be enough time. I think we're certainly going to see some new decks that do dominate. But then 4 or 5 months later, I bet we see something new like we have, with the initial set. So
yeah. Any clues on the exclusive TC or Rudy promos? Have we heard anything about that whatsoever? I don't think so.
No, they haven't said a thing. Yeah, they've not released a peep on either of those that I've seen.
It'll be interesting. Like, I think I kind of like that, at least for the Rudy ones, they went with like classic legendary fantasy artists for Zeta and then Boris Vallejo. Yeah. Because it didn't erode from, I don't know. It's kind of, I'm trying to think if I like that, or like what it would be like if they went with a current existing artist. I kind of like those being reserved for others. Like Team Covenant got the Brian Smith
Yeah.
which is great. That was a great artwork. And it's cool that it was like a piece that Brian didn't specifically commission for the game. I think he changed it a little bit, but he had painted that years ago.
Yeah.
I like those aspects, and I really like this idea of like dipping into the historic influences for sorcery, like these 90s CCGs, Guardians with the Braum card. And then it was I got it here, like this from Guardians, right?
Yeah. I would love to see him do a card with Braum as the promo, right? Get one of Braum's old works and use that for the Rudy promo or something.
Yeah, Braum or Keith Parkinson, like license one from his wife.
Yeah.
That has license ownership of her works, like Frazetta, who's now passed. But I love that idea of like dipping into the influences from the mid '90s or legendary influences. So like obviously Eric was heavily influenced by these '90s dead TCGs. Most of them are dead now, or kind of like getting rebooted, like Warlords. Yeah. Or go to the Legend series, like influences of fantasy art. There's Frank Frazetta, but there's so many more. They all have these fantasy art cards. And actually, the what I found interesting, I have like a Hyborian Gates. I bought a couple boxes. I'll open it in a future video as I'm digging into the influences of sorcery. But there's like there were several uses of Boris's artwork for these promos. There was the Rudy promo, and then there was the one that's the Dust Rewards card. It was used in his fantasy card set, but it's also, there's a version in Hyborian Gates. Actually, I think I have one. I bought a couple off eBay, and I was going to find them and discover them in the packs. Let me find it. So look at this. I don't have the other one I might have in my binder, and I've showcased that one before, and I gave a bunch away as I was filling orders for things and stuff. But there's this one from Hyborian Gates called Doris's Gate. so this is like the Dust Store card, right?
Yeah.
And
there's the Dust Store card right there.
Right. So it's been. So what I'm finding is like with the Braum, I don't know about this Braum Shadow Warrior per se, but with these artworks from these mid '90s CCGs, it was more common that these artworks would be used in multiple games. Yeah. There's so many games popping up and dying off and popping up again. So there's like all this Braum artwork, and now I'm going to do this one at some point. We'll do probably a live. I don't like doing recorded stuff too much.
Yeah.
But I'll open this Braum box, and someone like was very nice and generous to send this to me to open on the channel. But it's fantasy art cards by Braum. It's like a set of 90 cards. It's a young Braum riding the rubber ducky or so. Oh, it's like one of those playground toys. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But there was like 90 cards in this set, so you're not guaranteed to get a full set. I think there's like 10 cards per pack and 36 packs or something. So you get a lot of his cards. It's $19.95. But there's art in this set, like the full set of 90 that were used for this as fantasy art cards, as full art cards. They were used in, I think there's some Guardians card art in here, and other Dark Ages or something, I want to say, is the other game. There's used in multiple games, which is kind of cool. Yeah. And now in Sorcery, like maybe Eric pulls them into Sorcery to keep that tradition alive. I like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is when I started researching that Boris artwork, I found it was on the cover of one of the old issues of Heavy Metal magazine, and then I discovered it. Oh, it's also like a card that's been used in all these games. So there you go, another example of that. Here we go. We got a guy coming to Sorcery Con. He's got a stack of cards I've set aside to get signed. Is insane, and that's only my Elfin Beta. And there's gonna be a whole bunch more from Ethereum Legends. So that's that's a baseline way of artists making income at these events is they sell their signatures or they sign your cards. So people should definitely do that. I think what will be fun is the buy sell trade aspect. Like we have that of the core cards. I want to see people start trading like artist proofs. Like after you've enjoyed it in your collection for a while, just one for one.
That'll never happen, man.
You don't think so? I think some people will do it.
I've never let go of any of mine. I mean, maybe other people
I know. I get so attached to mine too. You buy them for a reason, or alters. Like you've played them in your deck for a while, and maybe you're evolving into a new deck archetype, and you're like, I'll just trade you straight up.
Alters. Like trading alters, I could maybe do, but my artist proofs are not going anywhere. So.
Yeah. But I'm begging you guys that are buying altars, because are these tournament legal to play with like a card with just like altered art like that? What do you think? Would they allow
It
that?
probably would really depend on the local tournament official who's running it. I mean,
Okay.
I think it would be okay. I think most of the time you can do that in sanction play. I haven't done like sanction play in other TCGs, like I said, for 15 years. So I would say that, yeah, you could, because it's an official card, because it has the text box, right? It's not like it's not the real card.
Right.
So I would think you could without any issue. But, you never know. The local tournament organizer may say, no, you can't do that. So you'd have to run into that. I don't think Eric's Curiosa has clarified one way or the other yet either. So
yeah, and it's the thing is, they're not proxies either. They are the legitimate printed official cards. They're just painted over on top, So
yeah,
I know proxies can be controversial, but
yeah,
it's just a lot of fun. So whether you can play it in a formal sanctioned event or just play with casual play, but I'd love to see people show up to these cons in the near future and in the years to come and actually play with altars and enjoy like a stylistic, like even more diverse, extensive style of artwork would be super fun to see.
Yeah,
and I heard Two Fluent's working on an entire deck of altars. Which is insane.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think it'll be fine because they are official cards, but you never know. You could have a tournament organizer who's just like, no, we're not doing that. But it'd be pretty cool, right? Like if you're running 3 giantesses like this, and then you've got your kobolds and your colicky dragonettes and maybe fire bolts that are all kind of tied to waking up the giantess.
yeah, exactly. Right. Like get those game synergies worked in, because like it's like you get the initial shock effect. You're like, oh wow, that art's different for the first card, and then you combo it with another altered art card. I think that's like super fun and just like exciting to kind of put a twist on what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. The chat's always quiet on my lives, man. There's not a lot of questions that are asked.
No, that's okay. That's no problem. I just came on and talked to you. So
yeah, we had a great discussion. It was a good discussion. We could probably wrap it up soon. I'm starving, and my wife's probably like, watch these kids. Let's do something.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. So,
but yeah, no, it was great. I appreciate you coming on, man. It was like you provide a lot of great insight, and again, like you're doing so much for these events and stuff. Like it's really, I think it's like a super generous act to volunteer your time to be a part of these events, whether it's working at the table or judging or to learn to play. Certainly, like teaching people to play, like. That's probably intrinsically rewarding on some level, but also can, I imagine, be like pretty taxing and tiring. So,
well, and I will tell you, I have never been more exhausted from the GenCon than I was this past one.
Yeah.
But it was a reward. I felt very rewarded. Like it was an exhaustion of a job well done.
Right.
Which was really nice. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
but it comes at an opportunity cost of your own. You're giving up, you're compromising flexibility and your experience at the event. Like you get the intrinsic benefit of helping others, which is great, but at the cost of other stuff. So hopefully you find that right balance. And I think like for Sorcery Con, that's probably good feedback I could give to like the other guys coordinating. If we can get enough volunteers, it would be nice to have them only have to work like one day or like half a day. In a perfect world, you have many volunteers, and they only have to do half a day or a full day or whatever they want to do, so they can do other stuff with the rest of the time, right?
Yeah. And that's what, most of the GenCon volunteers, they only worked, maybe a day, and then they didn't. That was my choice. I just wanted to put in all my time to try to build the game. So,
cool.
But yeah, with like Sorcery Con, I don't know what their plans are in terms of how they're going to have people work, but I've got to guess they're going to at least need a core group of judges who are going to have to work every day, because if they want to have as many side events as they're talking about, you're going to need a lot of judges on that floor.
Yeah, I know. We need volunteers, so please sign up, guys. Thanks for your efforts, man. Cheers to you.
Hey, thank you.
Got to get some of these. We'll slug a couple back. And thanks to Caio for coming on earlier. The stream original painting, freaking masterpiece, so beautiful. That's going to be live for auction Sunday through Friday this week. And then the Atlas Thorn combo altar of the Giantess and the Kobolds.
That's awesome.
It's such beautiful. he took a great picture of it. Like if I took it out of the sleeves and put them next to each other, it just looks so masterful together. And you kind of see it on the sketch. This guy, I'm obsessed with Atlas. Like it's like Atlas and Modesty are my two guys for artists. But like all the sorcery artists are amazing. I have like paintings from many different artists. This guy is insane. And I wish I could have one from every artist. Would be the dream, but you know they're pricey and they're just not accessible. Like people don't want to sell them once they get them in their collection. It's rare that they're resold. Maybe after like a few years or something as people rotate their collections, but it's special and it's fun. And someday this wall will be loaded with paintings. I just gotta, I'm in a state of limbo where some are at the framer, some are back. So I gotta design the wall. I don't know if I'll ever be done. So they might be sitting on shelves and stuff for years to come. Who knows?
Well, if you ever get rid of Mechanism, I'm called dibs. So you better.
So many people hit me up for Mechanism, and Spear of Destiny is another one I have. People love like how iconic that looks. But yeah, man. Again, it was a pleasure. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for volunteering your time, and I can't wait to see you in Vegas.
Yep, sounds good. Talk to you later.
All right, take care. See you, everybody.